Discover the future of renewable energy at GENNEX Colloquium 2023. Join us on September 29th at Radisson Blu, Ikeja GRA, Lagos, as we bring together renewable energy industry leaders, manufacturers, financial partners, policy actors and innovators. Unearth solutions to industry pain points, ignite collaborations, and shape the green energy landscape as we discuss the theme accelerating the adoption of solar energy, strategies for overcoming barriers and driving growth. Be part of the conversation that powers a sustainable tomorrow. GENNEX Colloquium 2023, September 29th, 10 a.m. Radisson Blu, Ikeja GRA, Lagos. Secure your spot now. Together, we're shaping the future of renewable energy. GENNEX Technologies, next generation energy solar.
Quickly, I want to introduce the master of ceremony for today's occasion. We've gone to handpick someone who has been functional in the industry for close to 10 years. He's the Managing Director of Cartel Energy, Mr. Ola Ogunsemowo. Please, a round of applause for him. Please, Mr. you can come and take over from us now. Please, the agenda is on the first page of the notebook in front of you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to this year's edition of GENNEX Colloquium 2023. Delighted to be here. A great appreciation to the GENNEX team for having me here. Once again, my name is Ola Ogunsemowo. I'm the CEO at Cartel Energy. Cartel is a solar company dedicated to closing energy gap in Nigeria. For me, I think I'll start today by sharing my personal story into the solar industry. So a few years ago, a friend of mine actually, introduced me to solar. So reluctantly, I just reluctantly just come and install it, more like a family friend. So, but after a few months, I discovered that, wow, this is so nice. I don't have to turn on the generator anymore. So, I just began to wonder, why is everybody not using solar? Why don't we have solar on every roof? So, my curiosity grew, quite stronger. I began to ask a lot of questions, and then somehow I found myself in the industry as a player. So this is very, very personal to me when it comes to conversations around how to make solar energy available, how to lower the barrier to entry for every homes and businesses around the country. It's very, very personal. So on this note, I want to once again thank the GENNEX team for having me here. It's an honor. It's a great privilege to be here. Thank you so much. So we'll be starting out looking at the list of panelists and some of the discussions we have here. I want to assure you that today we're going to have a very great time. We'll have a very rich and robust conversation about how to advance the solar energy industry in Nigeria. So you are in for a very, very wonderful time today. Okay, I'm going to start by recognizing important guests here today. So I'm going to start with top on the list today is the MD of GENNEX Technologies in the person of Mr. Patrick Elo. Please, can you stand up for recognition, sir? Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. I would also like to recognize the Executive Director of GENNEX Technologies in the person of Mrs. Oluwatoyin Elo. Thank you so much, ma'am. I also want to recognize the Technical Director of GENNEX Technologies, Engineer Tunji Tayo Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We have one of our guys at the top here. So he's the Director of Marketing, Standards Organization of Nigeria, in the person of Mr. Richard Adeomi. Please stand up for recognition, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming. Okay. I also have, all the way from Abuja, one of the regulatory agencies in Nigeria, Zonal Coordinator of Rural Electrification Agency of Nigeria, Engineer Adewale Boyejo. Please, could you stand up for recognition, sir? Thank you so much, sir. We are honored to have you. Thank you, sir. All right. Without further ado, I'll move on to the next item on the list, which is our keynote address. So I'll be inviting to the podium the Executive Director of GENNEX Technologies, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Ire.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my delight and utmost pleasure to welcome you all to the second edition of GENNEX Colloquium 2023. The representative of the Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Lagos State, representative of the MD CEO, Rural Electrification Energy, Director Marketing, Standard Organization of Nigeria, MD GENNEX Technologies, Executive Director Technical, GENNEX Technologies, the President, Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, our product partners, we have the Canadian Solar, Trojan, Jinko, Growers, and others. We have the GENNEX distributors and dealers, the panelists. We have our online participants as well, members of the press. It is interesting to know that prices of solar energy installations has been dropping by over 50% year on year, and this is a good news to people in renewable energy space. Today, we are all standing together on the visibility and acceptance that is not just because of environmental choice or cost reduction solution, but more importantly, the economics of the viable option for renewable energy solutions. In recent times, the world has witnessed a sporadic spike in the pricing of fossil fuels, which has become very challenging for countries subsidizing fossil fuels as they try to deal with economic headwinds and balance their budgets. In Africa, we have seen more than 4 countries remove fuel subsidies, inclusive of Nigeria, in May 2023. As countries in Africa deal with these economic challenges, there is no better time to look inwards to spur production of renewable energy inputs in African countries. We know there are hurdles to be overcome, but we need to start the discussions now. Also, we acknowledge that financial barriers still mitigate the adoption and penetration of solar energy in Nigeria. Our financial partners are here to dive deeper into how to make solar solutions more affordable for all categories of users in Nigeria. And this is a topic for exhaustive panel discussions later in the program. GENNEX Technologies is a leader in the industry, and our vision is to see a Nigeria, and indeed an Africa, that is powered by renewable energy in the nearest future. That is why we have brought every stakeholder together in this room to generate insights that will further develop the sector. We are presently in the field of energy revolution. Technology is advancing, and people are becoming more conscious of their choices. I am extremely confident that renewables will power the future. Let us work together, advocate, innovate, and be the change we wish to see. On this note, I must acknowledge the GENNEX team that has worked assiduously putting this event together. Thank you for the job well done. Once again, I welcome you all to this great event wholeheartedly and wish all of us fruitful deliberation. Thank you and God bless you.
Please, a round of applause once again while she heads to the seats. Thank you so very much, ma'am. While we proceed, I would like to, say once again, good morning, afternoon, evening to those who are joining us online. I realize that we have a lot of participants online from all over the world. So would like to welcome you to the event, and we encourage you to stick with us as we move on. It's going to be an interesting time. Right now, next on the list, we'll be having a presentation from our esteemed partners. Thank you so very much. All right.
So good morning, everybody. Everybody online, good morning. Welcome to the GENNEX Colloquium. We're very proud to be part of this initiative, and I'm just going to run you through a little bit of a corporate overview on what Trojan Battery Company and C&D Technologies is all about. So Trojan and C&D used to be two separate companies with production facilities across the world, supplying the world with battery technology. And in 2018, we amalgamated into one company. So Trojan and C&D Technologies has more than 200 years of experience. We've amalgamated into one big storage company, and we produce storage energy for the entire world. C&D Technologies is a world-class power solutions company, specifically in mission-critical applications, so UPSs, telecoms, etc. Where Trojan Battery Company is more focused on low-speed electric vehicles, your motive market applications. So our mission, why we exist, what we do, at the end of the day, we will lead the innovation to deliver energy storage solutions to power the world safely and effectively. So our promise to you basically is to empower effective teams. We've got 2,800 employees in more than 10 countries across the world. So we have a very empowered and effective team that does customer service, project engineering, R&D, commercial aspects, marketing, etc. Further to that, we have leading product performance. As I said, we've been in the market for more than 100 years as a company, and our product performance is exceptional. We pride ourselves in our performance. Operational excellence, obviously we have to look after ISO certification, make sure that we produce products according to sustainability programs, and to make sure that we produce the best local product that we can deliver. And in customer engagement excellence, we have a full customer service team that interacts with our customers on a daily basis, being it for shipping advancements, being it for inquiries on products, or just delivering on orders. We have a full team that assists you full time. So I'm not going to go through all of the history. As you guys can see, it's quite a long history. What I can say is C&D Technologies has been founded in 1906. So C&D is more than 114 years old. And some highlights from there in 2018, as I said, we joined together. Trojan and C&D became one battery company. And then one thing that I would like to say about C&D is in 2005, they actually started already with lithium-ion development. So we've already come that route quite a long time now. If you look at Trojan Battery Company, it was founded in 1925 by the Godber family, which is a family business for many, many years. And in 1952, we developed the first golf cart battery. So that's one of our key aspects. It's one of our biggest markets in the world. So that's where Trojan is mainly focused on. So bringing the two companies together with all their experience just shows what we can do at the end of the day. So if we look a little bit into Trojan as a company itself, Trojan Battery Company is focused on golf and utility vehicles as one of our core markets. That would be your fleet golf, low-speed electric vehicles, etc. We also focus on aerial work platforms, scissor lift, boom lifts, and so on. We manufacture the batteries that works in these machines. Material handling vehicles, so forklifts, pallet jacks, class 3 pallet jacks. Floor cleaning machines is a big market for us. It's not in Africa a big market for us because we still use a bucket and a mop. That's what we do locally to create jobs. But in the international markets, floor cleaning machines is quite a big business. Recreational vehicles, so obviously your onboard electronics on recreational vehicles, your RVs, anything that people use if they go camping or anything like that, we manufacture batteries that you can take with you in order to use it wherever you want to. Marine cycle, that's something that we got involved now as well. For example, Trojan has a lithium range that's also IP67 rated, so you can actually put some water on it and the batteries won't fail at the end of the day. So that's why we're going after the marine market as well, which is quite a growing market at the moment. And in transportation, your semi-truck APU, your cooling trucks, etc., they all need an auxiliary power supply, so a battery works 100% for that. So C&D Technologies as a company is more focused on critical power supply. So if you look at it, data centers, uninterruptible power storage, that's something that we all need across Africa. I mean, there's so many communication that we deal with on a daily basis. So we have to make sure that we have data centers that can handle all of this communication across the world. So we focus on hyperscale, co-location, even edge, and also cloud-based data centers. Telecommunications, so wireless, wirelines, all of the telecoms towers, we manufacture the batteries for those telecom towers. Energy and infrastructure, obviously utility, what we call pipelines, railways, switchgear, we manufacture batteries for that industry. Renewable energy is becoming a much bigger market across the world, so that's a big focus point for Trojan and for C&D going forward. So we want to focus on that market. We specialize in off-grid, grid-scale energy storage, also remote and hybrid communications. So we've been in the market in Nigeria, for example, for more than 10 years, and we've got really good success in this market. And then lastly, additional industries, obviously electric vehicles, government, nuclear. We manufacture specific products for nuclear plants as well, which has specific requirements and all technical details. So we focused on the market specific. So if we look at a bit into the energy storage technologies that we offer, obviously lithium is the new buzzword. Everybody wants lithium. Everybody's talking about lithium technology. We manufacture a safe lithium iron phosphate product for all our markets. And this obviously gives you the longest life proposition. It gives you a maintenance-free operation. And that's the future going forward, as we can see in the market how it's changing to lithium ion technology. One thing that I have to say is that we've always prided ourselves in our VRLA technology. And we've got an exceptional high-precision sealed lead-acid battery that you can still use for any single application that you're looking for. And this gives you a long cycle life. It's a premium product. And then it also offers the same maintenance-free aspect. The nice thing about VRLA products is it's fully recyclable. So our product is 99% recyclable. So at the end of the day, the only reason why we say it's 99% recyclable is because 1% of the batteries doesn't actually come back to us. So it's not our fault at the end of the day, but our product is fully recyclable. The next one is gel batteries. So gel batteries is more used in, not specifically in renewable energy applications, but we use them in signaling applications. We use them in colder temperatures as well because they operate quite better. Still a maintenance-free product, long cycle life. It's for lower power applications, not necessarily for high power applications. And then it's maintenance-free, also fully recyclable. And then the old trusted partner, the flooded lead acid battery, the one that you still have to put water in and look after. It's like a baby basically, but it's meant to last. As long as you look after a flooded battery, it will last for a lifetime. And that's technology that we started in 1906 already, and we're still continuing it today. If we look at Trojan Battery Company, C&D Technologies as a group where we are, our headquarters is in America. We've got production facilities in Los Angeles, in Sandersville, Lithuania, Mexico, and also in China. So we have a factory in Shanghai and in Jiangsu. We've got more than 650 partners in North America. In the EMEA region, which is more focused on where we are, we've got more than 100 partners. Across South Africa, we've got more than 18 partners actively selling and offering our products into the world. Service and support, I mean, that's a really big thing in this market. You have to be able to back up what you sell. Now, at the end of the day, our extensive service coverage means that we are available in more than 130 countries across the world. We've got service partners, we've got distribution partners like GENNEX So we hand over the service side of our product to our partners, and we empower them to do the service option, to make sure that maintenance is done on batteries, to make sure that people understand why you need to look after batteries at the end of the day. It's your livelihood. So we're just a call away. We've got a 24-hour emergency support line, so if anything goes wrong, customers can call us. We're 24 hours available. We'll support. We do in-country replacements if anything goes wrong with the batteries. We're quite lucky to say that we don't have a lot of warranty claims, and I'll stand by that. And on-site service. So we pride ourselves in training our partners to deliver on-site service. If a customer phones in, he doesn't necessarily have to speak to the OEM. He can speak to any representative at our distributor level, and these guys are trained by us to answer questions, to help support, and we act as a backup line for that. So as a company, our most valuable resource is obviously people. We pride ourselves in employing the best people, employing the best partners as well, because that's part of our company. We've got 2,800 employees in 10 countries across the world, and we pride ourselves as world-class products and service delivery at the end of it. So let's look a bit at the product family. This is specifically based on renewable energy product line. So C&D Trojan has a nanocarbon enhanced technology. What that means is we've got a carbon additive that we add to the negative plate of the battery to support partial state of charge conditions. That's a serious threat to any battery technology in the solar industry. You have to look after partial state of charge conditions, because if customers use their battery and don't cycle it enough or don't charge it up enough, obviously the battery is not going to last that long. So what we did is we trying to take out human error at the end of the day, and we do a high cycling positive plate with our DCS technology that's been in the market since a long time ago, and then the nanocarbon enhanced negative plate. So the technology put together basically gives us the best possible solution that we can offer to the renewable energy market, because we take the actual conditions of the renewable energy space, we consider that, and we manufacture products that works in that market. The product families, the AES technology is obviously 6-volt and 12-volt monoblocks. We start from as small as 100 amp hour and we go up to a 335 amp hour monoblock. And then our Liberty AES, which is our 2-volt cells, that's the big box on the bottom left-hand side. So that comes in a complete 48-volt configuration from start. So you can order that product from 133 amp hours, 48-volt configuration, up to 2021 amp hours. So that's a bolt plug and play. So when it comes to the site, you basically assemble it, you put it down, you tighten it down to the ground, and that's your product. So success across Africa. Africa is a difficult market. We have to make sure that we support our customers, make sure that we're available, make sure that our batteries can work in conditions that's not necessarily world class. As you can see, I mean, in the middle there, there's the batteries that's in the containerized solution. That's actually for keeping food cold for a rhino sanctuary. So they actually packed it into a cave, and the batteries operate, they work 100% there. These are just some of the solar systems that we've done. On the left-hand side was in the Yemen. In the middle is actually Nigeria. And then on that far right-hand side is a Kenya project. Data center and UPSs. I mean, that's a massive market for us. We are really strong in this market. We support some of the biggest OEMs in the world. And we provide a product that can really give you an uninterruptible power supply at the end of the day. On the left-hand side, we've got a project that we did in South Africa with Sanlam, who's one of our biggest partners. And then on the right-hand side, we're just showing basically that whatever you need as a product, you can rack it, stack it as a 48-volt connection, you can grow it as far as you want, and you can stack it on top of each other. So there's no limitation as to what we can do with battery technology. And then this is kind of a heartwarming story for us. During the COVID times, there was a company that reached out to us and they asked us, they need to do testing across Africa. They need to go to villages. They need to go and see if people are actually doing okay. Are people not affected by COVID? So we've got 32 of these mobile clinics. So basically the batteries are mounted on the side of a truck, and then there's a full solar system with a testing lab inside of that truck. And that travels all across East Africa to visit villages, do testing, make sure people are healthy, and make sure that people can go ahead. So that's a really good product for us, and it just shows you the versatility of what you can do with batteries and where you can take it. Sustainability, I mean, that's a big key. It's something that we all have to focus on. We have to look after the environment. We have to make sure that we're ISO certified. We have to make sure that we reduce our carbon emissions. So that's something that the company is really focused on. I mean, we've done a 2.5% reduction in kilowatt hours of energy batteries produced. We've recycled more than 148 million pounds of lead that's reused in order to produce our batteries again. So we pride ourselves in making recycling part of our daily business, making production part of sustainability so that we can look forward as a company and make sure that there's a future for our generations to follow. That makes us really, really part of what we're doing and what we're going forward. That's it. Is there any questions from anybody? Please feel free to ask. We will be here the whole day, so if you want to talk, let us know.
Thank you very much. That was quite insightful. So that was a presentation from Trojan and the C&D group. All right, we move along. Another presentation we're having right now by one of the esteemed partners. This time around, we'll be having Canadian Solar. So can I have the rep from Canadian Solar? Please, a round of applause for him, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hervé Matangwa. I'm French, as you can hear. I'm able to speak French, Swahili, English as well. So I'm the sales manager for Canadian Solar. I look after East of Africa, Central Africa, and West of Africa. All right. I always ask people, Canadian Solar, where is it from? And then most of the people can just ask anyone, where do you think Canadian Solar is from? The country of the company. Sorry? Canada? Okay, Canada, definitely. Because most of the people that I find around the world, they said it's just a name. It's from China, but definitely Canadian Solar, it's a Canadian company. So as we know, Canada, with the weather, the sun is a bit difficult that side, so we make sure that we produce the best solar panels. As you can see, I'm gonna go quickly so we don't have to waste our time. So Dr. Sean is the owner of the company, and then us in South Africa, we report directly to Suzanne, which is our GM in Manage. As we saw on the previous slide, we have over 18,500 people that are working for Canadian Solar, over than 20 nationality, and then that's massive, guys, that's massive. And the company has been founded in 2001. As we can see, we have shipped from 2001 till now, till last year actually, 94 gigawatts for premium quality. And then definitely for the pipeline that we're having now, we're looking around 25 gigawatts. As I said, it was founded in 2001, and then you're looking around 18,500 employees globally. And then on the top 5 modules of the world, we have 30% annually. Can you see how the growth is really going up? And then the revenue in 2021, we're looking around 5.3 billion of USD. And now currently from last year to now, we're looking around 7.47 billion. As I said, we present around 25 countries around the world, and all those are the location. And then we have around 17 manufacturers around the world. Okay, definitely we have the MEA, which is Europe, Middle East, Africa, which us, we are here, we are in South Africa. And then we are in Dubai, we are in Germany, that we report directly to the North America. And then as I said before, we've been around for 22 years, and then we shipped 94 gigawatts of panels. From 2013 till now, we can all see the growth of Canadian Solar. So we can see, and then now I'm telling you already, we about to go over than what we are expecting. In terms of the quality and the manufacture, definitely, as I say, Canadian, if it's not the top, one, we always the top two. Between the three first best quality around the world, I guarantee you that Canadian Solar is one of them. Canadian Solar definitely is a tier one company. So the tier one company means it's bankable, and then all we know that it's best to use a tier one module manufacturer, because that lasts for longer, and then you're able to use it for your bankable. As you can see as well on the bankable, so Canadian Solar has been so great, and then now definitely all till last year actually, we're still waiting on the report for this year, and definitely Canadian, it's a very good product, and then bankable always is good. The manufacture of the markets, we most focus on the residential, small commercial, and then large commercial and utility scale and off-grid. Here, the most important part about the modules. Here we do have the monofacial modules. As I said before, we do have from the residential to the commercial. So we have the 405 basically till we're looking around almost 700. And we have the black panels inside, and then we have the new technology, which is the TopCon, definitely running around the market, and we're going to push it for next year. So if you're looking for the new technology of panels, please contact GENNEX for Nigeria and for the west of Africa, please. And then we have the bifacial. Unfortunately, I don't have a sample to show you guys here. This is beautiful, guys. So I hope GENNEX will be ordering more or some of the stock. So you have one panels with two faces, the front and the back. But I always advise my customer to use it for commercial CNI project. That will work better. Okay, so here basically is the connectors, and then I'm not gonna spend times here because here we need to go more into technical. But thank you. I would like to thank you. I would like to thank GENNEX for inviting Canadian Solar. But if you want any Canadian Solar product, please contact GENNEX. Thank you so much.
I'm sure we are getting lots of interesting facts and data here. Thank you to GENNEX once again. And you've heard it. You need Canadian Solar. You know who to call on, GENNEX Technologies. So this time around, we're going to be having our first panel session. Yeah, you know, panel sessions. Actually, when I'm told that I'm going to MC this event, I was, you know, happy. So I was going to escape the panel, so I won't be answering the questions. I'll be shooting. I want to be the one shooting the questions, actually. But somehow I've been managed to squeeze me into this panel session again. You know, so it's going to be interesting. You know, when we have opportunities to discuss like this, it's always, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. I mean, this event is only once in a year. There are many others that happen during the course of the year, but this one is unique because we have very unique stakeholders here. So I'm also, you know, looking forward to some of the things that we'll be discussing today. So I'll be inviting to the stage now the facilitator first, in the technical director of GENNEX Technologies, Engineer Tunji Tayo. Please, can you kindly come forward? Please, a round of applause for him. All right. Next on this list is the Southwest Coordinator of Rural Electrification Agency of Nigeria, Engineer Adewale Boyejo. Please make your way to the stage. A round of applause for him. Okay. Next, I have the Director of Marketing, Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, Dr. Richard Adewomi. A round of applause for him, please. One of our panelists is still on the way. So I guess this session will have to go ahead. I sincerely hope that he will be able to join us. So I'm going to be joining the session 2 right now. We are going to be discussing, the title is Empowering Local Solar Production, Investment Strategies for Driving Solar Components Manufacturing and Production in Nigeria.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to the second edition of GENNEX Colloquium. It's going to be an annual event. You're welcome. My name is Tunji Tayo, the Technical Director for GENNEX Technologies, as I said earlier. And I'll be moderating this panel discussion. The discussions have already been introduced, so let's save that time. I want to go straight to questions. And for the purpose of this discussion, I would like to kind of break the areas for discussion into 3. The first is high-end PV modules. Second, low-end PV modules. And third is balance of system components. The reason for this is we know the global solar industry is fast evolving. And if we have to be realistic, we should ask ourselves, where can local manufacturers actually play? And that's a question we want to answer now. So, gentlemen, please, let's take off. In your opinion, in all these 3 classifications, where do you think we're best placed to play? I'm talking about aspiring local manufacturers.
Good morning. The first thing that we need to know is what is the capacity that we have in terms of the local content of what we want to produce. Because we can sit here and say, okay, the high, the low, and the other one that we want to. But do we really have the capacity to do it? If you have, which area do the country has the capacity to go? So I think that one is the first answer we need to do. This is the one that we need to start from. I think that's the way I look at it.
By the way, I think we should mention that one of the local assemblers, that's Oxano, just launched I think, what's the capacity again? 1 megawatt, right? 100 megawatts, 100 megawatts assembly plant. Please, let's give them. Yeah. High-end modules. We just saw the presentation from Canadian Solar. In my own view, I think for now, it's not an area we should even consider. I would rather say we look at balance of systems and also low-end modules. I'm talking about for aspiring local manufacturers. By the way, for non-industry people, balance of systems refer to every equipment you need to build a solar power system, excluding the solar panels. I know that people have been working on inverters and stuff in Nigeria. So, engineer Oejo, you work with REN, that's Renewable Energy Agency of Nigeria.
Electrification Agency.
Rural Electrification Agency. Okay, all right, sorry about that. I think your contribution at this point will be very pivotal. What areas do you think local manufacturers can focus on in terms of capacity?
You know, like I said earlier, because when we look at most of our developers and even the manufacturing aspect, most of the things we do is still trying to get them in. And that's has make the cost a little bit high. And that is why we are saying the local manufacturing of all these components will be better for us in this country. Now, in the area of the inverters or the batteries, is something that we can do and try to improve on what we have presently. But the problem is many people that wish to don't have the financial capacity. Those that have it will rather want their money to be back to them in quick way. And that is the reason why some of them, they will tell you that they are manufacturing. But if you go there, you will discover that they are even importing and call it manufacturing. And that is the problem that we are facing. We that monitor some of these developers, you discover some of the products they bring into this country. They will tell you they are partnering somebody, they are doing this. But when you really go to their store or to their warehouse, you will discover that it is just being rebranded. They will just use a name on it. So the work mainly, like thank God that the director SON is here, the work is more to the regulating agency that see to what comes into this country, so that we can encourage those that really want to do the real manufacturing. Like you said, inverter, for example, there are so many engineers that on their own, they produce this thing. But because of financial incapacity, they cannot get it in large volume that we needed for this country. So at the end of the day, they will just do few for maybe 2-3 houses and that's all. But the real one that we need is those manufacturers that really have the interest of the country, the interest of solar mini grid, that want to improve on it, then they should work on it. So the SON, the customs need to do more in that area.
All right, thank you very much. So can we have your contributions on this?
All right, thank you. I want to thank everybody, in particular the MD of GENNEX and the Executive Director. We're happy to be here again. The last time I sneaked into this forum, I was the Director of Marketing then. And coming back here, I'm now the Director of Laboratory Services. And so I'm happy to be here. Talking about manufacturing, from my experience over the years in the Standards Organization of Nigeria, how many companies sincerely manufacture in Nigeria? We are all assemblers. We are all assemblers. And so being an assembler confer on you a lot of commitment to Nigeria itself. Where are you sourcing your materials from, your components? Is very, very important. So years back, you remember the two companies that produces a flooded battery in Nigeria, Exide, and then the other company did no longer exist. I know there is another company in Ilorin producing flooded battery now, But coming to deep cycle and every other technology, we are still far from it. And so for what I would recommend, yes, producing producing inverters and others, yes, you can still go around that, and then you can produce maybe a complete system where you now metered and you make money out of those mobile solar home system. Yes, that is still being done locally in Nigeria. You see some your engineers putting them together. They might not be the best, but they can develop. But what I will encourage Nigerians to do, look for very sincere manufacturers overseas that you can partner with, set up an assembly plant in Nigeria, and through that process, you learn and you get better. But if you jump into it, very soon you will fade away. So I rather say to Nigerians, please let us partner, let us outsource areas where we know we need help. Otherwise, we'll put technology together and then it becomes a major problem. And that's why when I joined the Standards Organization of Nigeria, maybe 30-something years ago, when we start factory inspection, we spend days moving from one location to the other. But where are those electrical companies today? They no longer exist because they delve into areas where they're not very good, and then they begin to fade away. So I will encourage that partnership. Let's work with reputable organization. When I was listening to Canadian Solar and then Trojan, I said, look, this is the right way to go. I've seen Nigerians now, they go to China, they bring in things. Today we have recycling problem. You have deep cycle battery all over the place. And from our laboratory tests also, I can tell you if you continue in that line, the quantity of deep cycle battery that we'll have that we can't recycle will be so much that it becomes a major problem to Nigeria. Solar panels that we're getting now, there are a lot of problems there also. And so how long are we going to continue? So your return, even on your investment, you might not even get it. So I will encourage that we looked at partnership with reputable manufacturer, let them set up assembly plant here, and then we grow gradually, and then we can get better. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, can we have your take on this?
Okay, thank you very much once again. Okay, so I think from my own perspective, the number one thing here we also need to consider is availability of patient funds, right? By patient funds, I mean, look at what is happening in the tech industry. You know, you just set up an app, you know, any app to maybe a ride-hailing app to go to the restroom, app for anything, yeah, and then just, you know, create a pitch deck and you can raise $10 million. You can raise 20 between. Give yourself 6 to 12 months. You know, that can happen very, very fast. But when it comes to this hardware side of things, raising funding is usually, you know, quite more difficult. It's quite more difficult because of the investors want to look at the return on the investment. So I mean, you want to run a manufacturing plant in Nigeria, you have to think twice, because number one, I can assure you, if you want to depend on banks to do that, the interest rate will first of all, you know, finish you, and then next thing you want to look at is the value chain. The value chain, very, very important. You know, when it comes to let's say manufacturing, even assembling, I think for me, I like to break it down into components and look at the you know, the key components of what you want to assemble or manufacture. At the end of the day, you'll still discover that you will import everything. You will import everything because for the manufacturers that we see, you know, in the developed world, you know, they don't, even though they are manufacturers, they don't manufacture everything. They don't manufacture the components. You start from the car manufacturers, you know, pick a global brand like Toyota, for example. Toyota will not manufacture the seat in the car. They will not manufacture the tires, you know, so many things like that. So they would have to partner with another factory, close by, proximity, they look at all of that can, supply them consistently. So if you want to do the tiniest of things, I remember there was a time we were trying to localize manufacturing of inverters in Nigeria. So you start from the enclosure. Okay, we felt, okay, maybe we contact some local fabrication companies in Nigeria, and then they can fabricate the enclosure for us. Then the other things like boards, breakers, and all of that, we can bring them in. But then, by the time we receive the cost, it's almost maybe 50% of the whole cost of the single unit of inverter itself. It's very expensive. And when you ask why, they also tell you, well, look at it, foreign exchange. They also import all of those things. So the value chain, for this manufacturing to take a foothold in Nigeria, that means we would have to kind of collaborate. So that means if an organization is, venturing into local manufacturing of inverter, for example, you would also need probably to look for another factory that would, migrate over here to Nigeria and set up a local fabrication manufacturing plant, such that they will service you, and then they'll be able to service all the other. For example, some will want to make a custom-made boxes, enclosures for different other electrical stuff. So that's number two. Presence of value chain enablers. I call them enablers. So that you don't carry all the weight of doing everything on your own. The same thing, if you have plastic components in what you want to make, are you going to import the machines, the mold, all of that? Are you going to do that on your own? So all of that will bloat your costs so much so that it becomes unsustainable. So these are two key factors, from my own perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And please permit me to actually contribute in this based on our experiences at GENNEX. We started by importing, I think the first rail was from Unirac. I think that's mountain rail for these modules. And then we asked ourselves, is this doable here? We know we cannot set up a real manufacturing company, but then we knew we could design these things. We could design the accessories, we could design the rails. The next question was, is there a company around that can produce it for us? And we realized, yes, there's a company. So we approached Tower Extrusions. We gave them our design, our models. We negotiated. We got the mold. And since then, we've been producing our rails locally. We produce the accessories, we produce the rails, and they are actually our own original design. What I'm saying is, I'm just saying that to agree with what you said, that you can never do it all alone. Now, we stretch further. We had people with us that, just like you said, made attempts at producing inverters locally. And then the obstacles that you recognize, yes. The next thing was, how do we partner with people who have the strengths that we don't have? So this is the second example I want to just to help our listeners who may be aspiring into production, manufacturing. How do we go, what's the realistic channel to do that? And we got in touch with our supplier, Voltronics. We knew we had special knowledge about the environment here. So we kind of piped those experiences to Voltronics, and they used that to actually customize our products, our inverters, which were supposed to be more resilient because of our knowledge here. So again, you add value in some ways. You can never do everything in today's world. All right. So I'd like us to look at the aspect of policy. How do we think government can use policy to drive some of these objectives in terms of, well, you could call it assembly, call it partial manufacturing or whatever?
We are talking about cost here. And like what my brother said the other time, that by the time you look at what you want to do, you will discover that importing is even more better for you because the money, the cost aspect will be too much. And I think that is where the government policy comes in. First, maybe the aspect of duties. What you pay when you import such things to Nigeria, especially when you want to use it for manufacturing. Then secondly, we talk about the lending rate. The government, instead, when we are talking about we want to give so amount as this to people, why don't you allow those that want to really do manufacturing to access this loan at a unit rate? Instead of going by 27, 28% that we have now, if you give them at, like the last speech of the president saying they are going to give some loans to people at 9%, at so percent, you discover that those loans will be payable and the people that will access it will use it for what they really want to use it for. But there is no way you have, like what they said, you can't have a 28% interest and you want to go into manufacturing with what we have presently. The grid is not forthcoming, cost of production is high, and you're having 28% to pay. You end up folding that business and sell it off to pay your debt. So the policy of the government must be emphasizing on the loan aspect of giving them at a rate that is at minimal. There is nothing that stops the government from giving a loan to a genuine manufacturer at 0%. They know they can get, as soon as you get this money, you will be paying so amount every month. But that is area where the government needs to look at if you want to develop. There is no way. Everybody is shouting about dollar rate and everything. You cannot be importing and not exporting and you expect your dollar to rise or to have value. There is no way, unless we are deceiving ourselves. That is where we need more of government policy to drive manufacturing. Especially this solar power that we are talking about. If we really want Nigerians to adopt it, the cost must be very, very minimal. If any average Nigerian can say, okay, let me just have a home system that will just point of light and everything. But when you are looking at the amount, your money, your salary cannot even, if you want to go on loan for it, your salary cannot have it. So I think the area is just, one, the duty free for those things and lending rate to be reduced.
Thank you very much.
For me, I think I've been privileged to be part of some of the policies that we get in this country. But what I'm worried about is how we abuse government policy. A lot of abuse. If you go to a seaport and then somebody says is importing CKD because the duty is low, and then he has 10 containers. That 10 container contains everything to make up that product. And so he's getting a lot of rebate, goes to small shop and put it together. There is somebody that has a plant in Nigeria that is going through stress to get this business done. So every time you find out that in Nigeria we don't have stable policy because there is always manipulation of this policy, and then people that are also expected to implement it becomes a problem. And so it seems these policies are not working. They're actually working, but the human element that is in it, manipulating it, makes it difficult, and it seems it's not working. I think there must be proper monitoring of implementation of government policy, which is very key for me. If it is not done, every time you keep changing the policy, somebody told me he wanted to import Gary, and then he knew one of the stronger, I won't mention him, chief of staff then, and then he went to him. Overnight, the tariff on Gary was changed so that he can begin to do his business. And every other person begin to suffer because of one man. And so until we begin to go beyond that and we enact a policy that will help genuine assembler, we will continue to struggle. And when those policies are there, how are we manipulating this policy against the people that are supposed to benefit from it? And this is the area that we have problem. What I'm proposing is that all genuine assembler manufacturer in this company, let them use their influence. Let them encourage, because for me, I know who and who should be given tariff reduction or whatever, based on my experience from the laboratory and product certification of local manufacturer. But they are not getting it. So government agency also should be involved seriously in policy formulation in this country. If we don't do that, we might be doing something very wrong. We're producing the standard for refrigerator. And we said in that standard that we are going to ban importation of any refrigerator that contains chlorofluorocarbon. And then as soon as we did that, the first importer that we stopped went back into the Kyoto Agreement and showed us that Nigeria signed an agreement that they will start implementing in 2030. And who are the people that signed that agreement without consulting the agency that will implement it? So we have a document that will have to wait until 2030 before we can implement. So we have this inconsistency and lack of synergy between agencies of government, and we keep doing things the wrong way. But we must work together with the manufacturers, assemblers, and people that will improve our economy. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I think I would want to look at this. I mean, number one thing is we need to, first acknowledge that Nigerians, we are very, very creative. We are very, very creative. I don't know what policy you really want to formulate. We will definitely find our way around it. That's the number one thing. So, I mean, I am aware that there are lots of efforts to formulate policies, implement them, enforce and all of that. But then the human factor, some people will still compromise it anyway. They still compromise our policy and then ensure that it really doesn't serve the purpose for which it was created in the first instance. So this one is, it's a problem that is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. I mean, in some parts of the world, this also happens. Only that here it's, it's quite prevalent, quite prevalent. I give you an example. If you would import, let's say, if I'm import of significance, battery. If you import battery today, and then you've done all the custom and everything like that, and then maybe you've taken it to your warehouse, you'll be surprised that some informants will still inform customs to come over because they cannot hear battery. When they hear battery, they know this is money. So they are coming after you. They want to, say, okay, give us your paper. You've done the right thing already, but they will still come over to come and check again. So, but meanwhile, we, at the policy formulation level, they might say, okay, let's reduce duty on let's say solar components and all of that. But then, unfortunately, when the other agencies like custom, for example, when they see that, oh, this, let's say maybe 2 years ago, we only maybe processed about 20 containers of these components. And then all of a sudden, it's now 1,000. Then what are they going to do? They want to increase the tariff because this is a good way of generating more revenue for the government. So you see this conflict of interests, happening from time to time. Maybe not for themselves, but for the government. Maybe they are doing that in good faith. They want to generate income, more revenue for the government. So that's why when we have opportunity to discuss like this, for those who are in the position of advising governments and agencies and all of that, this is something that should be taken into consideration so that we are not at war when it comes to, let the focus be the same. So while I want to generate income for the government, at the same time, I also have to look at the interest of these other sister organizations. What are they trying to achieve? What are they trying to do? So that we don't have total collapse. I saw this book, on the show by the president of the UAE. They call him the chief, I think CEO Sheikh, something like that. They call him CEO Sheikh. So, because I was just trying to see, okay, how did you get all of this vision, and how is it even possible to implement them in such a short period of time? They started that place in year 2000 to 2001, thereabouts. And, the growth is what we are all seeing today. So one key thing I could pick from his own, experience is that this red tape, this bureaucracy, it exists everywhere. It also exists till today in their own system also, and it's significant. But what they've also done to just avoid all of that is to set up a free trade zone area. So they started with one, they recorded a huge success, and they started replicating it. They did for health, they did for education, they did for technology, like that. I also see that here we've also tried creating free trade zones, because there you have all those things we're talking about, from government agencies, all of that, everything zero. They have their own policy over there. You come in, you import your goods, clear, do all of that. If it's zero tariff, then it's zero tariff. Nothing is going to change it. So it's like creating another ecosystem outside of what exists in what we have right now. Because sincerely, there's no, I don't know, any leader who is going to do a magic. If you say there's corruption, that corruption is not in at the federal level alone. It's everywhere. It's in, the next person signing a paper. 10 people want to sign the same paper, because something is going to come. This is what we experience. So what they've done is to create another ecosystem altogether and say, okay, for those who are really serious about manufacturing, you are serious about technology, you're serious about health, move all of them to somewhere else. Restructure the taxing system for them. The financing there is also totally different. So these are ideas that I also feel we can pick up, for those who are advising governments to, if we say we want to drive solar adoption, we can also, create something else, create a safe haven for those who want to manufacture, for those who want to do system integration, for those who want to develop technology, so that, homegrown technology. We are not going to do this if we, it won't be fast. The adoption will, it will not be, impactful, because the conflicts are just, too much. So this is something I think could also help us. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, luckily we have Dr. Segun Adaju. I know he's tried to push a lot of policies and favorable policies to help the renewable energy sector. So on this area of policy, I know you have a lot to tell us. How to use policy to drive the sector, the growth of manufacturing or assembly for renewable systems or renewable energy components.
All right, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, Interestingly, the sector we're talking about also is of importance to government, or it should be of importance to government. For example, we have the transition plan that says by year 2060, net zero. So how do we achieve that? That means government must also, in their own interest, because we've also signed a global agreement that everybody signed, Paris Agreement. So it's important for government to take interest in creating adoption of solar technologies and renewable energy, clean energy in general. I'm also aware that a few efforts has actually been made in terms of policies, and we can rule out several policies that have been put in place. Several. So the issue is, what level of implementation do we have currently? And that's what we should be looking at. I was at an event yesterday with the Energy Transition Office in Abuja. That's what I actually went for. And we're also talking, look, it's in your own best interest. Okay, so you've signed an agreement that you achieve this conditionally or not conditionally. You've developed NDC sectoral plans to say you achieve this. Okay, so it's in your own interest to push for adoption. But the issue of implementation is of critical importance, and I'll cite a typical example. So I was pioneer president of RIAN for 6 years, up until December last year. And I know we made several efforts to push for several policies. Some of them we are seeing, them in action on the mini-grid policy framework, for example. We push for incentives. Interestingly, if you check most of the policies that have been approved, there are incentives in those policies. For example, the NRE AAPM, Nigerian Renewable Energy Efficiency Policy of 2015, signed 2016, has incentives, some waivers, and the rest. The implementation became an issue. For example, I think about 2 years ago, we had, in fact, some of those incentives were gazetted by Ministry of Finance. And then we got to custom says, you guys are on your own. In fact, this is the first time I will hear that a gazetted rule was turned down by a man. Of course, by one man. Colin Ali, I'll mention his name. Yeah, he told us, well, I have a budget to deliver this number of revenue for Nigeria. So if I give you waiver, I'm not going to achieve my target. What did we do? We went ahead. We engaged with some development partners. I will mention particularly FCDO, formerly then was DFID. And we came up with a framework and a model that was proven in other countries, Kenya, some other East African. Because Kenya had incentives, they pulled it out, and they had to return it again. And that's what catalyzed adoption of renewable energy technology in those markets. Okay, so, and it was clearly proven that, for example, if you remove VAT and, custom duty on solar systems, number one, what is the percentage of that what's it called, revenue head for government as compared to the general revenue of government? Very insignificant. That's argument number one. That even if you are saying you want to achieve your revenue target, even if you give waiver to all solar systems, you won't even feel it in your revenue. Even if you double it, you can't feel it in your revenue head. Argument number one. The second argument is we'll also be able to prove that if you remove VAT, custom duty of X amount, the ripple effect in terms of, for example, adoption of energy that will increase the productivity of companies like SMEs, you increase employment, and it's proven in regular, typical, we mentioned it, barber shops, and my very good friend is here from grooming. We've tested this. You deploy solar for a barber shop. In 2 years, the guy has opened 2 additional shops, okay? And he has employed more people. So you have increased revenue. And then you can now tax payee on those revenue. We found out that by that model, the government will generate 4 times the waiver they have given. I mean, simple, but it was really very difficult to still implement. We're still pushing. The FCDO supported that framework. Look, why not just give incentives? For example, if you are putting solar on your rooftop in, say, Lagos, maybe there should be some tax rebates You could file in those ones as allowance, capital allowance, just create some incentive. And then you see everybody begin to adopt renewable. But the ripple effect in multiples is higher than the waiver you are going to give. A typical example of an incentive that is possible to do, right? So policy is very important. I have the opportunity right now of working with Lagos State government to develop the decentralized renewable energy plan for the state. We did a mapping of Lagos State with the World Bank, and we found out that if you put solar panel on rooftops in Lagos, residential rooftops in Lagos, it will generate 12,500 megawatts. And we're saying, look, how do we push this? We're currently on that project now with African Development Bank. And we also proved that the market, everybody here, maybe up until recently, the money we're spending on fuel for our diesel generators and is actually that money that is in the ecosystem that you just need to catalyze and jumpstart, and then that revenue. And so policy is pretty very important. It's something we should not joke with. We should keep pushing. And for example, manufacturing also, we created some with the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission to incentives for local manufacturing. That was what bettered the Solar Power Nigeria. It was 160 billion. I was part of the team that put it together in the NESP, Nigeria, Sustainability Plan. And we're seeing some ripple, although not many people have been able to access that funding. But a typical example was the 100 megawatts solar plant that was commissioned yesterday. I don't know how many of us attended. That means it's possible. And I know about 5 other Nigerians thinking along that line. Minimum of 100 megawatts. Solar manufacturing in Nigeria. So this is possible. We should not also be, and I'll close with this, we should not be constrained, but that, there are challenges. My good friend, there are a lot of constraints. In fact, if you wake up in your house, you will not want to step out because the constraints are too many. But it's becoming compelling and imperative that the market is growing. It has to grow. How many people will be buying fuel? Most of the barbers that we're dealing with, I deal with a lot with SMEs. They cannot afford 600 naira per liter to buy fuel for their generator every day. It's killing. They can't even think of it. So the rush for adoption now, we have another, I'm coming back to you, almost 1,000 barbers saying they want this thing now. So we're doing the model and say, how do we raise the funding? Trying to get carbon finance into it also. So there will be constraints. We cannot give up. We have to keep pushing until government allows that to happen. But I'm very confident that the market is here. The adoption has started. For what we have done in the last 10 years is just child's play. I think the plane is just taking off, and we all should, get interested. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's some very encouraging inputs there. We're running out of time, so we want to take questions from the audience, please.
My name is Adebimpe. I work with Polaris Bank. I was saying thank you for the presentation. It's an eye-opening, and it's helping us to see the renewable energy sector from a different perspective. So mine is not a question. I just wanted to make a comment to what he said, which I think is very important. And I hear it a lot in different forums where manufacturers, SMEs, or businesses generally, the default solution that they have in mind is always to get a single digit. Government should give us a single digit. A lot of that has been put in place in the last 6-7 years. A lot of businesses have tried to access such loans, but I can tell you for free, sir, that it really doesn't even help because of the conditions attached to those loans. So the only concession you have is that single digit, 9%, 5%, right? But government is always afraid to take the risk or to share the risk with the business. So they pass the risk to the lenders, okay? So they give you at 9%, and because they pass the risk to the lender, the implication to the lender, when I say the lender, I mean the banks now. So the implication to the banks is, if the customer defaults, which can happen maybe by business failure or anything, the government, through the CBN, would debit the bank's position for that amount. So in essence, who is helping the business? The person that is carrying the risk or the person that has offered cash at single digit? So in other climes where I have seen it work, sorry, before I move to that, so based on that, you then see the banks asking for stringent conditions so that they can mitigate the risk to a great extent because they don't want to lose money. So imagine a bank lending 100 billion to one single entity, obligor, and that loan goes bad. That is almost 3 times the capital requirement of any financial institution. So the reason I am saying this is for stakeholders, which I'm happy based on what he said, to actually sit with the government and see how government can become part owners of such major businesses that will eventually affect the players within the value chain of that business. So this issue of single digit is not the solution. It actually should be at 0, not just at 0. Let government be a part owner, just like you have the JVs in the oil and gas sector. When the likes of NLNG was going to be set up, Nigeria had 59% shares, right? And the foreign owners had their percentage, and over time, they divested and then left the company to be independent. So it's the same way that the stakeholders need to look at it, identify the major businesses that need to be alive, that will also serve as feeders to other smaller ones that are coming up or emerging in the Nigerian sector. That's the only way we can begin to make a difference. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sheyi Okonoga. I work for Sterling Bank. And first, I need to thank GENNEX for putting together this colloquium. Very good. This the first. I think the other one, the one that was done last year, I was here, and the consistency is one thing I want to applaud the organization for. So maybe we should applaud them. We consistently need to have this conversation on a consistent basis. The panelists have made mention of critical information and comments that shouldn't end within the 4 walls of this environment. It needs to go out, and we need to have that engagement consistently. Part of the things I tried to jot down a few notes. I won't take more than 2-3 minutes. Part of what I wanted to say is what my sister has mentioned, the polarizer has spoken about. I wrote the fact that equity and seed investment from government is very critical to this sector, as opposed to probably 0 funding. And the reason why I said that is my current experience. In my organization, we are partners to probably the first solar manufacturing company in Nigeria, Oxano. So it's a public information now, so I can talk about it. Before now, I would just be keeping quiet as a banker. So it was commissioned yesterday. We're there. It's a 100 megawatts solar factory. So Dr. Adaju is being done. It's been commissioned. So these are part of the things you are preaching. Today, imagine a situation that the federal government has invested maybe 50% seed fund investment in the company, just like my sister said. What it means is that as at yesterday, the value of that company, if it was 1 naira, today, as at yesterday, it will probably be 4 or 5 naira right now, because it has added value, because they are in a stage of production. They have the market right now. And interestingly, by our analysis, that company alone can probably attend to, it can't even obtain to 5% demand of solar panels in Nigeria. And there's still so many factors, so many other parts of that production that other investors that come in. You have the cell flakes, for example. We've not started cell flakes. I probably want to segment the renewable energy sector into 3 layers, just like the oil and gas, the upstream, downstream, and the midstream, so that you will know where to participate essentially. But I won't go into the details. Coming to policy, talking about policy, it has gotten to a point where the government has to look at stating that 25%, at least maybe we'll look at a situation that 25% of any project that is being done locally should have 25% local input, meaning that if there's a project, whether power as a service project, energy as a service project, you should get to a situation where it is mandatory for you to patronize any local manufacturing agency. You spoke about rack production, right, sir? Yes. You spoke about rack production. Rack production, even if it's going to constitute 5% of an installation, that means GENNEX has to be patronized. And there must be a document that will certify the fact that those products were acquired locally. Now, the likes of Oxano that was just commissioned yesterday is part of it. If you want to install a 1 megawatt solar farm, for example, there will be a requirement that it will be mandatory for them to probably patronize Oxano or any other company that is into the production of inverters, which we have in Nigeria right now. So, Dr. Daju, and this goes to you, because I know you are very close to government, 25% at the least. Let's start with 25% to say that any installation that has to be done locally, 25% of it must be that those equipment, product, materials are sourced locally. In this country, we have lithium, for example. Information reveals the fact that lithium is leaving the four walls of this country to China and the rest, and they are producing the batteries. Some of those batteries come into this country back. Why has it not gotten to a point where we will say that we make it mandatory that for any company that is extracting lithium out of this country, you must have a startup company that is at least assembling battery for a start. That is where it starts. Then, in the course of about 2-3 weeks ago, in the course of my experience on the field, I found out that many companies, whether at Alaba or the likes, the other big companies, Vectron and the rest, some developers, ordinarily, or even government agencies, will say that, oh, look, before we buy your solar panel, some companies do not just accept SON. They'll say, oh, you must have a certain certification from maybe the exporting company, from the exporting country. Like the German has NDI, the German company has NDI, and China has their own. Can't we get to a point? So any certification of our product, even if it's certified by SON, a certain developer will say, I will not accept because it's SON. I need certification from this German company or this China company. What it means is that it invalidates the production, local production. So why can't we get to a point? So instead of saying that, oh, I want to obtain certification from a foreign country because I want to certify my own local production, I'm producing, so to make it clear, I'm producing a car in Nigeria. For that car to be driven on the street of Nigeria, I need a certification from America to be able to drive my car. So we are subjecting ourselves to the control of the to the Western world, and which we've been doing in all aspects of our businesses and our lives. Our destiny, we need to take it by ourselves. So SON should wake up and say, look, even if I do not have the material support, the knowledge to be able to certify a certain production, can I get this organization in China, in America, or in US, wherever, to certify me so that I can certify others? Meaning that train me, give me the knowledge transfer, certify me so that I can certify others. So that SON can have that power. And the same thing is the challenge that we have during the situation we have with vaccines. Vaccines was done outside the shores of this country, in the US, China, Russia, and the rest. But to give the African countries the license or autonomy to be able to produce it, said no. And that is the same thing we are doing in all sectors. in the renewable energy sector, we need to move fast to quickly control, to arrest this. Then my sister has spoken about subsidy. Oh, okay, subsidy comes. All the grants you receive from REA, sir, the zero that you're enjoying, the grants you get are apart from single digits, is part of government supporting. Okay, you have some other universal funding line, by SC for all that is. All these are part of the support that you can get. And I think let's not be too hard on government. Single digit they are still trying. We must recognize that there's a cost to every finance. And as a country, we are deep neck into debt obligation. This is not the time where the government will be looking at zero interest rate. Maybe equity seeding and the rest, some form of investment. When it's increased in value, they check out and sell to other people. Maybe that way. So they are really trying. I must confess in that. Then I think and the reason why we need to do that is for sustainability reason. We need to be able to, if you continue to give everybody free money, you won't be able to sustain it. Sustainability comes at a cost too. Even for you to be able to sustain. The money you make, you need to be able to make to give back. And decentralization of power generation. I think Dr. Ajayi has spoken to that already. I will stop at that.
Thank you very much. There's something I must say to Nigerians. If you are privileged to work in a multinational, project Nigeria. I have been to a lot of companies where certification is required. The first thing that shut down Nigerian certification are Nigerians within the companies. That's what I found out. We're doing different system certification. Before your certification can be recognized, you must be accredited by a body. We have a body, IAS in America, that accredits us, but you see Nigerian saying Nigeria, SUN does not have competence to accredit, to certify. And so it becomes like we tend to also make ourselves inferior. Sometimes we downgrade ourselves, and then we believe this thing cannot happen in Nigeria. I want to plead with everybody, you should speak for Nigeria everywhere you find yourself. That is the only way to grow. But when you keep shooting down everything in Nigeria, I don't know how we're going to get it right. I tell you a very interesting story. Many years ago, I was in Onitsha. I would go to factory inspection. I went to a company where they produce a kerosene lantern, and then very good quality. And I asked the MD, I've not been seeing this, your brand, in our local market. The man laughed. I said, by the way, why did you put made in FRN there? What is FRN? If I asked you, it could mean other things. He now told me that in this Onitsha, they don't know I have this factory here. So what does he do? When he produces the lantern, he packages it in a container, drives it from Onitsha to Idumota. Our trader will leave Onitsha. They will go to Onitsha, buy it as a foreign lantern, and start selling it in Onitsha market. That is how interesting our mentality is. We need to believe in Nigeria to move Nigeria forward. It's not every product. Look, I went to the silk market in China. We were looking for phone. After going from ground floor to the last floor, one Chinese man said, I said, please come. He said, I know you want to buy something here. He said, everything you see in this market are substandard. But you see Nigeria will flood into the market, buy things because it is foreign made. And so, look, I can tell you and challenge us that there are a lot of places I've been privileged to visit where Nigerians are producing product, very good quality. Sometimes their finishing might not be as you expect, but what they offer is better than some of these imported things you see. Because of aesthetic, you reject them. If we start from somewhere, then aesthetic, you can add more money and make it better. But you reject them from the onset, and what do? They resort to counterfeiting other people's product. They want to create identity from themselves, but you reject them, and what do? They resort to other things. So we need to encourage ourselves. When someone is doing it, let us support him, and then don't come and shoot him down that forget about it, it's not good. It's a major problem that we have here. Well, each time we talk about palliative, I say what palliative can be that government will offer civil servants loan. Everybody, if you want to put solar system in your house, we'll go through your cooperative, and then we'll give you some money, and you can pay back over 5 years. And you go to the street of Lagos, everybody start flying the solar panel in his rooftop. They will forget about generator. But those little things, we should begin to look at it. Let us not have this complex mind. I can tell you, if government offers that, and every civil servant in Nigeria goes for that, a lot of people will be employed. Things will get right. So we want to look at it. Let us believe in Nigeria, support Nigeria. Every Nigerian, where you find yourself, defend Nigeria. Don't always choose the foreign option. That is how to grow. Thank you very much.
Please, in addition, my brother, there is local content policy already in Nigeria. Like what my brother said the other time, it is implementation. So anything you are doing, it is already a policy that you must be so percent localized. So it's there already. It's just that we get there when we want to implement. That's just it. Thank you.
Thank you. And in terms of standards also, I'm aware that the SON has developed a very thorough standard for certification of solar systems in Nigeria. I was on part of the working group, and it was recently finalized, and it was very detailed. I mean, the number of engineers that sat in the room. So once that is also being implemented, a lot of things will change, definitely. So it's also still implementation. I also, any opportunity I also have, I commend government for some of the level of efforts they have put into this. It can be more. A typical example is the Rural Electrification Agency that is almost, that's pushing a lot of adoption of solar systems through the Nigerian Electrification Project. Yes, I can tell you this has really pushed adoption. If you go to some rural areas, how to reach communities, and solar home systems is what they are looking up to. And also the issue of local content. We don't even have a choice as Nigerians. We have to patronize Nigeria. It's and I begin to see that. I'm happy to see two gentlemen seated here wearing Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria is really beautiful. So it's becoming very serious. There's hardly many of us in solar now that will want to use cables that will now go for imported cables. Am I correct? Hey, local cables. Nigerian cables? Yeah, so gradually we get into that space. And I see that also, coming in. And in terms of finance, yeah, I'm a former banker, almost 2 decades in banking. So when I hear my fellow bankers, I tell them that thanks to Sterling, those guys, they jump on the train very quickly. And I tell them that, look, there is big money to be made in this sector. Of course, it's risky, but banks are also expected to take risk. A bank is to take risk, really. Because if you finance rice, of course, you can take insurance, and if you collapse in the high sea, what happens? It's still a risk. And meanwhile, this sector we're talking about, you can actually de-risk. Number one, there are guarantees that you can take. Secondly, you can also take a hold on the assets. You are financing an asset. But of course, banks will ask, is there a secondary market for? There is a big secondary market for solar system now in Nigeria. My colleagues, you can decouple a solar panel and sell it to another person the same day. There's a market now for second-hand. Yes, even batteries. So banks, you don't have anything to lose. In fact, it's even easier to recover your money if you finance an equipment, and this is what I do, than give money to an SME to go and trade. The man can go and marry another wife. Yes, but if I finance my system and I'm seeing it and it has pay-as-you-go remote monitoring and with GrowWatt, you carry it to another place, I can see where you're going to, I can recover and resell, even at higher margin. So this is where we are in Nigeria. Let's all of us here, continue to just push this market. It has come to stay. We don't have a choice. I mean, generator at 600 naira per liter, you're on your own.
Good afternoon, sir. All right, Taiwo Okpelua is my name, CEO, Africa Bridge Initiative. All right, thank you for the enlightenment. So I was opportune to see one of the keynote speakers early this morning, and I told him that the lithium business and the market and the raw material is massive in Nigeria, that I'm excited that it's also coming from a foreigner. So number one, for our bankers, is it possible that we see that our bankers are scared of manufacturing industry? Do we see that they are scared of the manufacturing industry? Number one. Therefore, the price regulation for the Dr. Dajo, I'm sure he has been doing a lot pushing the government to be on their toes. So for the price regulation, we're having problem with importation. So if we push for price regulation, for now, I don't know, I may be wrong, but I'm looking at it that Nigeria, in terms of price regulation, we are a bit lower than zero or minus zero, if there's anything like that. Because we have a situation by anybody, invisible hand can determine what happens to the market, especially the forest market. So if we push for the price regulation, then I believe that the bankers will not be scared anymore in terms of funding the manufacturing business. So for our local businesses, sir, how do we ensure that the bankers will not be scared of various problems that will come in? Because I believe that all these businesses that we're talking about, once a man brings up a business that's importing and is going to get billions of returns in the next 6 months, the bankers will flog that man. But if I'm coming with a business that is bringing 300 billion in the next 20 years, the bankers will run away from me. So, where do we go from here? Thank you.
Let me switch to a banker right now. Banks, they have a peculiarity. And in banking, we call it the risk of mismatch. So you are collecting money that is short-term, savings account, current account, demand deposit that somebody can call on at any time. And then you are asking the man to use that money for a 15-year transaction. It is called mismatch in banking. So that's why you see them, they quickly want to do something that is fast, 90-day turnaround. In fact, in those days, we used to do temporary OD. I don't know if it's still in banking now, TOD. That 1 week, you collect your money back at very high interest rate. So that's one of the challenges they have. Yesterday, I was also telling the ATO office that there's what we call developmental finance. And I think, for example, a Bank of Industry and a Development Bank of Nigeria is in that space. So BOI has some funding. I think it's about 10, I don't know, up to 10 billion now, that you can take loan from, you can finance some medium and long-term transactions. But banks basically are wired for short and medium-term transactions. And they are not, banks don't, it will be hard to see a commercial bank that will, a few of them are doing it, that will fund a startup. You are starting a business from scratch and you are approaching a that's the wrong guys to talk to. In funding, there's what we call early stage growth funds. In fact, there are some that you have to collect grants, to start. Right? And then you get to a point that the bank will say, okay, I can look at you now. But I'm also aware that some banks are already even ahead. I believe there will be a few banks in the consortium that finance Oxano, right? So they are also coming to this space gradually, but that's the way they are wired. In terms of price control, as an economist, I probably won't support price control. If you are regulating price, then it's no longer market-driven. And government that is trying to open up this economy for market-led initiatives to say price, that's where we are now that's why the dollar is where it is. It is demand, it's market forces. If you have huge supply of dollar today, that we are manufacturing panels, and Oxano is selling to Ghana, Sierra Leone, Senegal, more, foreign currency comes in, right? And then if we reduce our importation and we generate more dollar, the price will come down. That is demand and supply. So if you are now regulating, and that's the regulation we have put in place that has, you know, we couldn't manage it any longer. Even price of electricity. Allow market forces to determine. You can, if you are generating power and you are connected to the grid, and there's no cost recovery, you are losing 40% in what we call ATC and C, you won't be encouraged to put in additional investment into that market. So market forces most times are the best, although there will be some intervention once in a while by government to say, hey, this thing, we have to balance it, it's not looking too good. For me, that probably what I will support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adaju. Okay, please, let's have your question.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Mine is not a question. My name is Efe Hussein. I have a solar company, and I also have some partners that can fund solar projects. So if you have a valid solar project that needs funding, we can actually fund. But with respect to what we're discussing about funding and pushing the industry or the sector forward, permit me to suggest some more. We know that the bank, we have the bank, we have the government, we have all of those, yes. But permit me to suggest some more traditional form of pushing this. And that is through cooperations, cooperatives, and even collaborations amongst ourselves. Nothing stops us. I'm so sorry, I'm a woman and I have women organizations and I work with a lot of women. Maybe that's why I have that idea. Nothing stops us. I look around the room, we have a lot of men, a lot of people that want to produce things. Nothing stops 5, 10 of us from coming together to fund these things. Yes, the government is doing what they can do, and with all of what's happening in the world today, the challenges is facing everybody. But if we put our seeds together, I'm sure we can start making some form of progress. And we are indeed making progress. I like what you said, that we are beginning to adopt the made in Nigeria mentality, and that is great. By the grace of God, I have one of the homes in Nigeria that is totally off the grid, and I do not use generator. But I have tested, and I know that this thing works. And that's one of the reasons I went into it, to market and to fund for Nigerians that want to actually do this. Solar works, but we can come together and pull our funds together and make some things happen, especially when it comes to manufacturing. It can happen if we come together, and we can grow it from there. If you start it today, give it another 3 years, you'll be amazed what you have done when we pull together. Thank you. That's just the point I want to make.
Thank you so much. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your contributions.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our esteemed panelists once again. Wow, that was quite explosive. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. I know some of us might still have some questions. You can actually, if you don't mind, maybe put this question on a piece of paper and hand it over to one of the ushers. So we might still have, an opportunity to take questions and contributions after this one. Thank you so much. All right, we are moving on to the next item on the agenda. And this time around, we'll be having a presentation from one of the partners. So I'll be calling on the representative from GENNEX Solar. GENNEX Solar, I don't know, here? All right, great. A round of applause for her, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, GENNEX team, for having us here. My name is Esther Jerome. I'm a sales manager for GENCO Solar. Please, I would like my slide. A lot of us know, and for those that don't know, GENCO Solar is a tier 1 global manufacturer and supplier of solar equipment. And then we started with PV modules, but because one thing stands out for us, we look so much into solutions. So we have diversified into other solutions, which are our ESS and our solar street lights, our DC pumps as well. And like they rightly mentioned, our ESS solution, one thing they talked about, the panelists, something they said earlier, was component balancing. We have an ESS solution. It's a containerized plug-and-play solution where we have different components together to make life easy for these installers. GENCO Solar is 17 years now. It started in 2006. And in Nigeria, we are 7 years. I will tell you that we have our factories in Shanghai, we have in Malaysia, we have in Vietnam, and then we also have in Florida. Yes. Yes, for 4 years, we have been #1 in terms of shipments. We have delivered 100 gigawatts, and we have a 12% market share. I mentioned earlier that we started with PV modules, and we also have the building integrated PV module solution. We have our ESS, we have solar street lights, we have DC solar pumps. Yes. So we started with the Tiger series for home solutions, and then we moved to the Tiger Pro, and now we have the latest technology, the Tiger Neo. We have for both residential solutions, and then we also have for C&I and utility scale solutions. The home solution, which are the residential solutions, is from 430 watts up to 475 watts. We have up to 500 watts. Most home solutions, they want to use the 545 watts. Then for the C&I solutions and utility scale solution, we have from the 545 watts up to 625 watts. And as you can see, we have the module efficiency for the top con for 22.18%. And roadmap that was shared with us last week, looking at it, it has moved up to 22.90%, which means the efficiency is increasing by the day. Yes, I get a lot of questions, people asking, why did you move from Tiger series to Tiger Pro and now Tiger Neo? Tiger Neo is the TopCon technology, and it has a higher efficiency, it has lower degradation, it has higher bifaciality. And then looking at performance, yes, the improved performance is what I want to talk about. Now, we have the advanced warranty of 30 years in terms of performance, and then we have 12 years warranty in terms of the product. It has improved bifaciality by 80%. Now, for the bifaciality, looking at it, that's in terms of projects where you have the C&I solution, utility scale solution. You know these are ground mounted, and the ray from the sun, when it hits the ground, some of it escapes back again. So which is why it's a bifacial PV model. You have some percentage, like it's mentioned here, 80%. Some that are supposed to be trapped to the ground that goes back. So it also takes the power from beneath the panel and also at the top. So this is, of course, something good. It has better low light performance. It means that during the day, let's say in the morning hour, why people are saying, oh, that solar PV models are generating from 7 o'clock. This can start from 6. And if some are going, some stop generating from 6 p.m., we still have an extra hour. So it means we have 2 hours extra for this new technology. That's the TopCon. Yes, so we did a test in SSA region, and then it was noticed that the temperature coefficient has increased with every generation in terms of this technology. So it has increased by 15%. The top corn is what we're talking about. We're telling you the difference between the top corn and the P-type. It has increased by 15%. Yes, like I also mentioned, it has improved energy generation over 3% in terms of temperature coefficient, in terms of bifaciality gain, lower LID and LETIDs. Yes. A lot of people think that GENNEX Solar, they are just PV module manufacturers and suppliers. No. Like I said, we focus more on solutions, which is why we have our residential solution, our inverters, which ranges from 3.6 kilowatts to 12 kilowatts. And then we have our lithium-ion battery. We have for 4.8 kilowatt hour, and we have for 5.12 kilowatt hour. And then we also have our CNI storage system, utility scale storage system. This solution, like I earlier mentioned, is a plug-and-play solution. I call it Life Made Easy for installers because we have all the components put together. All you need to do is just to make your order, and then it's delivered to you. You install your solar panels, you do your connections, your input in, and then output to your load. It's a very simple and beautiful solution. Let's go to the next slide, please. Yes, for our residential solution, our batteries are stackable in parallel up to 20 pieces. And then we have our distributors that have this in-country. For our inverters, we have single phase, we have 3-phase. For the single phase, we have 3.6, 5 kilowatt, 8 kilowatt single phase. And then for the 3-phase, we have 8 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, and 12 kilowatt. We also have them in country. And just to mention that we have our bonded warehouse at the Lekki Free Trade Zone where we have all our solutions stocked, except for the containerized solutions. Of course, our containerized solutions are what we call, how do I put it? It's customized to meet your need. Right? We all have different needs. We all have different capacities that we want to install. So when you speak with our technical team and they get to understand what exactly you need, and then we customize the solution for you. Yes, so this is just to show you the containerized solution. You can see, like I said, it's customized. We have the JKS69K-50H. It means that is a 50 kilowatt solution. And then the 69K is the battery capacity in kilowatt hour. You can have for 50 kilowatt hour, 96 kilowatt hour. You can have 50 kilowatt, 136 kilowatt hour. You can have 100 kilowatt, and the battery capacity varies based on the hours of autonomy that you want. You can have the 250 kilowatt, and then different battery capacities for that. You have up to 500. We have this solution up to 2 megawatts. And then you can also parallel this solution if you need something bigger. It's a beautiful solution, and it has been deployed in Nigeria. I'll show you places where it was deployed. Yes, so this is just to show you what the solution looks like in terms of remote monitoring, right? This is the grid, and this is the generator. You have your ATS. The green dotted line shows you what you are expecting inside the containerized solution. You have our STS, you have our battery, you have DC to DC, you have AC to DC, you have the BSS controller, and also an isolation transformer. So like I said, installers, their life has been made easy. You don't need to start sourcing for container, different components, try to test different inverter brands, battery brands to bring together to get this solution. It's already there for you. Yes, like I earlier mentioned, it's the same thing. It shows you the static transfer switch, the power converter from DC to DC, AC to DC, the transformer, battery strings, the BSS controller, switch gears as well. Yes, so this is in China where we deployed our containerized solution. As you see the way it's beautifully displayed. It has been working. Our factory there in China is totally off-grid. Let's not say, oh, this is just in China. This is in Nigeria. We have it here in Abuja. We have the 1,000 kilowatt, and we have 1,200 kilowatt hour battery storage solution. This was commissioned last week in Lagos, Paras Energy. I went as well to do the inspection before commissioning. This solution, I tell you, it's up and running, and thanks to Paras who have given us the go-ahead to invite our clients, various clients, who would want to see the performance of this solution and see what we have there. This is an off-grid solution. It provides power to Paras Energy Factory and Warehouse. This is a 500 kilowatt, 945 kilowatt hour solution. Like I said, it's somewhere around Eleko in Lagos. Also, this is in Djibouti. This is also our solution. We have another one in Port Harcourt. Yes, this is in Port Harcourt. This is a small containerized solution. This is, I think this is the 50 kilowatt, yes. This is the 50 kilowatt, 67 kilowatt hour. And this is just a 7-foot container. We have 7-foot containers, we have 10, we have 20, and we have 40. I tell you, all these solutions are in country, they are up and running. So there's no point saying that, oh, I'm looking for different components to bring together. We all have them. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, and the reason why I'm here is because we are partners with GENNEX. So for our solutions, if you need them, quickly reach out to them and they'll make those orders for you. Thank you. I think I'm done here. Thank you so much.
GENNEX Solar, thank you. Moving on quickly, right now we would go straight into the panel session. The topic for this session is innovative financing solutions for expanding solar energy access. So we're going to have all the bankers here now. So all the questions that you have, reserved for them, it's time to shoot them now. The CEO of Ashdam Solar and the Vice President of REAN, that's the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, Mrs. Damilola Ashale. Please, a round of applause for her, please. She can make your way. Okay, next to that, I'm calling on the Group Head of Products and Market Development at Polaris Bank, Mrs. Adebimpe Ihekuna. Please, a round of applause for her. Special Projects Manager, Grooming. All right, let me take that again. Special Projects Manager, Grooming Center, MFB, Mr. Chikezie Egbefule. Egbulefu. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. Last but not the least, I'll be calling on a Senior Relationship Manager at Standard Chartered Bank, Adediwura Owo. Is your hair? Okay, great. A round of applause for that, please. Okay, so we'll be starting right away. Thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here and also excited to be having this panel session with our bankers. So my name is Damilola Ashale. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Ashdam Solar Company Limited. And I'm also the Vice President of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. And yes, I'm glad to be here. And I would like us to introduce ourselves first before we go into the main thing of today.
Thank you very much, moderator. My name is Adebimpe Ihekuna once again. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the Group Head for Product and Market Development. It's the product engine, the think tank for the bank. So where we come up with various strategic initiatives by way of products, and we distribute through our branch network to our various customers, which I'll talk to later on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chikezie Ebulefu. I'm the head Special Project Grooming Center. Basically, the special project has the renewable energy and marketing of Grooming Center in charge, and some other product development activities. That's what we do at Grooming Center. Thank you.
Good morning, sorry, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adediwura from Standard Chartered Bank. I'm a Senior Relationship Manager. Basically, what I do is deepen relationship and, help our clients to navigate through this, through these tough times. So much to speak about, so we just follow the panel.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. So my first question to us today is that, being commercial banks, what are the special offers that you have for the renewable energy sector? Listening to all the challenges that the first panel session has spoken about, so what are the special offers that your bank have for us to actually leapfrog into deploying more solutions? And I'll start from you, please, Ms. Adenikpe.
Okay, thank you very much. We all know how important this is as a nation before you even come to the bank level. Going green is our desire, and that's what we're all pushing for, okay? And going green is not just writing it in the book or just saying we're going green. So it has to reflect in your action, your strategic focus, your corporate social responsibility. So first, I would like to speak to us in Polaris Bank. For some of us who have been following the story, okay, we're a digitally led bank, all right? And we're not just saying it, or we didn't just write it in our vision or our mission. We have received the Digital Bank of the Year award 2 times back to back, you know, since the last 2 years. And what gave us that award, it's our capability to have reduced the level of paperwork. We've digitized our entire process. We have one of the robust mobile app in the industry, Vort, where you can go in and do everything that you need to do in a bank branch. That can happen on that app today. So part of what we're deploying as well to make that a go-to app is trying to break down financing, break it down to the best simple way that you can. And when you talk about breaking down financing, you must first understand, who are you designing the product for? My colleague from Sterling Bank had talked about the segmentation. So based on what we've listened to today, we see a lot of people having the needs for the solar panel. You have government, you have the corporate, you have the small SME, you have the commercial, and you also have the individuals, like my sister also spoke about. So part of what we've done is we've designed a simple generic product that we call buy now, pay later, that cuts across all the segments. So today in Polaris Bank, as a business, and you want to invest in the solar panel, there's a special scheme that offers special discounts different from the shelf pricing that you can access to be able to invest in the solar panel. The same thing with government. So today as a bank, we have about 5 states in the north working with the chairperson of the Internal Revenue, okay, where we do digital collection for hospital payment, for example. And we know the way government parastatal is set up. So we provided the solution, and the problem they had is they don't have power. Do you understand? To power the application. So part of what we did is to invest in a solar panel that helps power that application, such that when patients come into the hospital, they can have access to the health service immediately. So we have more than 5 of that in our books today. And that's, of course, driving the collection in terms of payment of services. Beyond that, we're playing within the entire value chain. So as you have the importers, we have people who import solar panel. They import big time, and they also have distributors just like GENNEX. So we also provide working capital requirements for the distributors so that they can buy from people like GENNEX, and they can also then distribute within the various regions across Nigeria where they operate. So this is how we play within the entire value chain, and we have specific dedicated renewable energy products servicing this market.
Thank you, Ms. Adebimpe. Over to you, Mr. Chikeze.
Thank you. Yeah, for us in Grooming Center, we have specific products for people who actually want to access funding for, if it's solar or bigger solar system. We have the solar loan product and the green energy product, which is actually for individuals and businesses who are actually heavily dependent on energy and who want to switch to renewable energy. It gives them the opportunity to access up to 10 million at the rate of 27% per annum. The solar, which is for our clients, existing clients, is actually for lower wattage product. We actually went out purposefully to actually launch this product because you can see that, you agree with me that presently the interest rate for lending is actually going up. The MPR is about 18.5%. And of course, if you want to do lending, of course, the MPR is a benchmark for which you lend. So thinking of single digit is actually not reasonable. But for us in Grooming Center, we've actually left the green energy loan product at 27%, which is actually reasonable considering the present happening in the macroeconomic space. Another thing we do, aside launching a product or having a product that targets people who are heavily dependent on solar, is actually partnering with solar companies. We partner with a lot of solar companies because we are not experts in solar. So we have to, what we do is basically financing. So what we do is we partner with solar companies like GENNEX is a partner, Consistent Energy, Shego Adagio, who is the MDC of Consistent Energy is here, and some other Delight, GLP, Green, Sun King. Those are some of the solar energy companies that we partner with to actually deliver solar products, quality solar products to the end user. So these are the things we do. We also have some other activities that we do to deepen the usage of solar. Like we are presently talking with some union. As I heard somebody mention association. We are presently discussing with some association in the north to actually help their member access solar equipment. So all these are things that we have done in Grooming Center to ensure that we actually deepen or expand the usage of solar energy in Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chikeze. Please, let's clap for them, please. So over to you, Adediwura.
Thank you very much. All right, Standard Chartered Bank is very, very keen about sustainability agenda. And I would say that across our footprint all over the world, this is an agenda that the bank is driving so passionately. And bringing it home to Nigeria, the bank actually is supporting and providing financial services for organizations that are into renewable energy. And then that is why I'm here, and which is why, of course, GENNEX Technologies are clients. So without wasting our time, I want to go into the nitty-gritty or the majors why we are here, which is financials, right? At the moment, to show our passion and also our commitment to renewable energy in Nigeria, we have partnered with, or we're in partnership with GENNEX, to support our staff. We thought about it and we said, how do we start? So we decided to start from home, which is, bringing the solution to staff. And what we do is, right now we have a lot of our staff who are able to, access, be able to purchase the solar system, over a period of time, maybe paying gradually for a couple of maybe months, 12 months, 24 months, easily. And, a colleague of mine wasn't around last week when that communication was sent in the bank. And then when she returned this week, I sent that communication to her, and she was like, "You've saved my life. I've been thinking about something like this." I mean, that is how you help people around you. And I said, "You won't tell me that I haven't helped you this year. I've really helped you this year. So go get yours, yeah?" So, I mean, that is the bottom line. That is why we are here. That is what we are driving. And another thing that the bank is doing is, we know that a lot of people want to get this, but how do you go about getting it? So with our credit card, you're able to get as much as 7.2 million naira. And then you can as well access our loan, our PIL. You can get as much as 25 million naira on our PIL. So, I mean, with these solutions available to you, solar should not be a problem, right? So if you want us to discuss this further, I'll be somewhere at the back where you can reach out to me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Adediwura. Please, let's clap for her, please. Okay, so my next question for you is kind of, because So please, you take it as it is. As it is. A lot of us, I would say a lot of us, because me inclusive, we've tagged some commercial banks as time wasters. Because you go to the banks, you submit different documentations, and it takes a lot of time. I've heard you talking about digitalization. I've heard the microfinance talking about having solutions for solar, and I've also heard you talking about there's access to 7.2 million, there's access to 25 million. But all these sometimes sounds like magic to some people when when the time actually comes to access those opportunities or those funds. So please tell us here if, yes or no, your banks have dedicated, because now we are RE sector, we are renewable energy sector, so we don't want something generalized, we want something specific for us that actually answers solves our problems as the RE sector. So your banks, do you have desks, functional desks, not just desks, functional desks that are accessible to us as renewable energy entrepreneurs? That is first. And then also, what are the kind of documentations that is required so that times are not going to be wasted and things can quickly speed up with us whenever we come to you? I'll start with Adedugura, please.
All right. Well, I say we have a dedicated desk for renewable energy services. I won't say no. Yes, I won't say no. But the thing is, if you enter the branch to do any of our branches and you speak to renewable energy, I mean, you will get service. And that is the truth, because the agenda is something that's been driven across the board. I mean, the bank is really passionate about renewable energy. If you look at, in fact, in our credit system is such that we go about customers, that are targeted in this business, clients who are into this kind of businesses, they are the ones that we are targeting to say, what, we want to support you. We are passionate about it. We know that there's a global growing agenda, right? And we know that Nigeria is not there yet. I mean, we have a long way to go. And when we have people who are into this nature of business, it is in our interest to support them in whichever way we can. And that is what Standard Chartered Bank is here to do as part of our commission or our commitment for Here for Good. So we are saying that if you go into any of our branches today, you will get service. However, let me also mention, so that I don't just put it out there, let me mention that the PIL that I talked about and the credit card, you should be a client of Standard Chartered Bank for you to be able to benefit. You must have been with us for about 6 months, we've profiled you and all of that, then we can, give you that kind of service.
Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So for me, at Grooming Center, we actually have a dedicated desk. In fact, a unit, the head of the unit is here, Philip. We have a green energy unit that is dedicated to servicing people or requests that pertains to renewable energy or energy efficient products. Then your second question was?
The documents.
Okay, yeah.
And then the turnaround time.
Okay, yeah. So as regards to the documentation, one thing I would say is that I was a banker, and also I worked in the credit department of the bank during my banking days, and I know the documentation requirements of banking. One thing that slows disbursement of funds to any person that wants to get money from bank is actually the issue of is the loan secured? They need collateral. And in my days in the bank, for you to get a loan, you must get a collateral that is equivalent to that loan, almost equivalent to that loan, or higher than the loan you're about to take. That is for the bank. But for us in Grooming Center, we actually don't take collateral. That aspect is actually cancelled because we've realized that the collaterals don't pay the loan. If you take a house as a collateral for a loan, the house is not going to pay the loan. What is going to pay the loan? It is the cash flow from the business. So what we do is actually determine the cash flow from that business venture. Any business you are going to do with our loan, or if you are coming for a green energy loan, we assess your capacity to pay based on your cash flow. So it is what we do. So the aspect of going to ask you to get collateral and you now start perfecting the collateral, it takes a lot of time for you to perfect collateral. Like years, if it is a landed property, it takes years. You got to get CFO and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, the client is discouraged. We've eliminated that. We'll come to grooming center. If you are very serious, within a week, you can get the loan for green energy.
Okay, can you please give him a round of applause, because that's actually what we are looking out for. If it is actually true within a week, within a week, that's what we're looking out for. Okay, so over to you, Adebimpe, please.
Okay, thank you very much once again. Responding to your question, if we have a dedicated renewable energy desk at Polaris Bank. So the answer is yes, but I also like for us to be clear, so we don't go with the wrong impression. So we need to understand the way the banking industry works, just like any other business, like GENNEX today. I'm sure they have corporate customers, right? And they have SMEs. I don't know if they deal with individuals. So it's the same way banking is. Banking is also business, just the same business methodology. So in banking, we've segmented our markets. We have the corporate banking. And when you say corporate banking, you're looking at companies with 5 billion turnovers and above, to infinity. So you're looking at the likes of Cadbury, Nestle. That's corporate banking. So the dedicated desk that we have for renewable energy is for the corporate banking clients. And the reason is because their needs are customized, so to say. It's not generic. Like today, if I want to give a loan to an individual, so maybe highest, there's a number of KVA highest, or do you understand, that they would need. But for an organization, a manufacturing company, their need differs. So that is why that dedicated desk is there to serve them. But the other segment of the market, which is the commercial, the SME, and the retail, that is run under product programs. You know what I mean by product programs? Product programs just means that even before the customer comes forward to apply, we already understand them. We've written the credits. So when they go to any branch, it's just a case of tick the checklist, and approval is obtained. Okay? So, and the documentation requirement is standardized. Whether renewable energy or not, if I'm lending to a business, one thing that is critical is this business viable? So for example, I'm funding you to invest in solar, and the lifespan of the battery is just in 2 years. I wouldn't want to give you loan for 4 years, because if you no longer have that asset that is servicing you, there's likelihood that you might not be happy repaying the loan. Do you understand? So all of that has been put in place as product programs, and as these customers come forward, is a tick thing, and our credit application processing is automated, so within 72 hours. So what customers say is most of the time, within 72 hours for commercial and SME, because they are businesses, right? So when customers come to say the bank is delaying me, they don't get, most times, before a bank starts tracking their turnaround time, you as the obligor must have completed the requirement, because there's requirement. It's a regulated business, we're regulated. So some, if you don't do, the CEO will be behind the bars, because you're trading with other people's money. We're trading with all your monies in your current account and your savings account. So that's why CBN is there. So they must measure how the money is being used. So yes, we are allowed to a certain limit without collateral, but no financial institution can lend unlimited without collateral. That is not banking, okay? But for the individuals, like I said, we're a digitally led bank. Every individual customers in the bank today have been pre-approved for a loan already, based on your cash flow. So if you have Vault app and you have a Polaris bank account, you can download it right now and test it. So you have been pre-approved for a loan based on your cash flow. So as you're signing on, it's telling you, Adebimpe, you can access 20 million. And you just click 2 steps. Are you okay with the amount? Do you want it for 24 months or 36 months? No, I want it for 12 months. Change it. Do you want the same 20 million? No, I only want 5 million. You change it and you click submit and put your PIN. Your account is credited. So in situation where we're in partnership with the likes of GENNEX for individuals who want to buy, So when you go onto the scheme and he clicks approve, yes, he approves the loan for you, but it automatically moves the loan proceed to GENNEX. Do you understand? Or any other supplier, and then the back end or offline conversation commence in terms of installation and what have you and what have you. Yeah, so that's the way we run it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Adebimpe. Please clap for her, please. Okay, so I've heard that you have different segments and different offers for us, and then for 72 within 72 hours and within 1 week for commercials, and 60 seconds for individual. But so I still want to bring these a little bit closer to us in the Harry sector. And in Harry sector, we have, you heard someone speaking about the Harry Hay, PBG. Sometimes we are driven by the kind of projects that we are offering. We are either driven by probably we want to provide a solution for a commercial and industrial company, or we want to do a mini grid, or we want to do small projects. So sometimes it might not be easily accessible for us, or the solutions that you have on the Vault and the other apps might not be the right match for what we need. It might not be the right match for what we need. So what can we as industry players do to ensure that the requirements, which you have not mentioned those requirements, I asked for those requirements, but none of you actually mentioned those requirements. So what can we as industry players do to ensure that we have bankable projects, we have projects that are viable, that when we bring on board to you, we can have access to those finances for those projects, having it in mind that those offers on Vote and some other on the apps that you have, it's not specific, or it's not designed in such a way to solve the problem, direct problem of our specific industry. I'll start from you, Adebimpe.
Okay, thank you very much. Just so let's clarify the requirements you talked about. And again, I really want us to hold on to the fact that customer segmentation differs. And I'm happy you're reinforcing it again. You have the commercial, you have the corporate. And that is why it cannot be driven through product programs. Because when you say product programs, it's generic. So that's why I said requirement differs based on the transaction nature. It's transactional. So I'll give you an example. There's an estate in Abuja, a developer, that wanted to sell lights to the residents. I think he has about 300 residents, and part of his energy supply is to get a solar, which he then bundles, I don't know how he did it, bundles with PHCN, and then dispense to the residents. So in that estate, no generator. It's 24/7 light and pay as you go. So yes, we structured that. So the cash flow for such transaction is the payments of the units. Is it megawatts that it's called, okay, or kilowatts that the resident purchases. So the cash flow, his source of repayment of the developer, is the purchase from the residents. And we digitize it in such a way that as he dispenses, he has an app, an in-house app that resident can sign on to and purchase energy. So they pay by imputing their card, because we put different forms of payment. So they pay by imputing their card details or transfer, and the money goes into a wallet sitting on the app. That wallet belongs to the developer, and that is the way we feed the repayment for the loan. So that is customized for that developer. So there's another person who is offering an independent grid to a small community. So it differs. All you need to do is to call on us. We will sit with you, because that's actually the meaning of banking. No bank can offer a generic product to everybody. It has to be customized based on the nature of the transaction. The guy that provided the mini grid, because there was no government lines to that, And, they're assessing power, buying 100 naira, 200, 500, depending on your capacity. It's pay as you go. So his source of repayment as well is the repayment proceed. So what bank just want to see, which is what's the thing that CBN called it, responsible banking, is to ensure that one, he's got the state approval to institute that grid there, install the grid there, right? And there is a way to track to ensure that people are actually paying. Then you do your projection. You can't just come to say, okay, I want to plant a mini grid here. And meanwhile, the population in that environment, there's no need for it. They use generator, they have lights. So who says they would patronize, the purchase of a private supply of power? So it can't be customized. So it's based, what is important is the banks are open to this. A lot of us are playing in this space. My colleague from Sterling has said a lot about what they did. We are playing a lot. I've given examples of a number of clients that we funded. We're about to launch with GENNEX for the individual aspect that I talked about. And we're also funding the distributors because they can't be everywhere. So it's a distribution channel for every viable, profitable businesses that we've seen in Nigeria today. They thrive on distribution. Like you have Cadbury, you have Nestle. The only reason why the man in Kotangora can buy the 25 naira Milo sachet is because PIC or WAMCO has distributor in that state. So it's the same thing. So we're funding the entire player within the value chain. And I do not want us to have the closed mind to say banks, the interest rates. Banks are profit-making organizations. Like the man that buys yam from Kano and brings it to my 12 to sell, he's going to add all his cost and make profit. So it's the same thing with banking. The only thing that we trade in currency, money. I take your money, your savings account or your current account. I pay you interest and I lend. I take my cost of operation for keeping your money for you, and I still pay you interest, and I lend, and I make a margin. So I tell my colleagues, I'm a trader. Drop the banking. I'm in the business of trading, making profit, and satisfying my customers, coming up with various products, because if you look at 7, 8 years ago, banks will not fund the purchase of solar, not to talk of funding it as a buy now, pay later. We didn't have that knowledge. It's over time as we attend programs like this, we got to know that this is actually an asset. And because the lifespan goes beyond 1 year, 2 years, then you can design a financial product that is wrapped around the lifespan of the equipment. So it's that easy. So don't let us be afraid. Approach the bank, approach us. If you have any project in mind, we will sit with you and look at how it works. The project must pay itself. So if you have a project that you yourself, you're not clear on how is the money going to come back, the bank is not going to believe in it and they're not going to lend. So you first need to be convinced that this is a profitable venture and this is how my money is going to come, this is how I'm going to distribute it, and you see the banks running after you.
Okay, thank you, Adebimpe. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. What we do, like I said, we already have a product dedicated. So the documentation requirement, which is what you're talking about, is actually stated ab initio. We don't do a lot of documents. However, if the request is more than our present limit, then we can seek for approval on special cases. Having said that, there are some basic documents that is required if you want to approach a financial institution, whether a bank, MFI or whatever. Basic, for instance, you have a contract and you want to supply, there should be an agreement between you and the person giving you that contract. There should be a document that shows that you have to supply this number of units or so and so. The amount has to be there. The value of the contract has to be stated. These are the documents that you can approach the bank with. Or this is a product, the contract I have, I want to deal. So based on that, they will do an assessment and see actually what margin are you making. So if you money to do this business and we collect our own interest, are you going to have enough margin after paying back your cost, after recouping your cost? Are you going to have a margin? Those are things that we consider. But the basic thing is that you must have those basic documents. A clear example is ANCOM. They've collected collateral, seized a lot of landed property, and they cannot sell. The people are free, but they cannot sell those properties. And the loans they've bought is also bad. So you find out that collateral does not pay. So what you do is basically on the ability of that business to repay that loan. And before you do that, you must have done your feasibility study, which is what she was talking about, to ensure that the product is viable. And once that has been done and confirmed, then you can approach the bank with all the necessary documents and you get your money disbursed.
Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, Adediwura.
Thank you very much. Documentation is major when it comes to disbursement, loan, and solutions in a bank. And let me just quickly mention that a lot of people, when they approach the bank for financial solutions and services, and they usually come and say, you know what, I need this money, I need this support, I need this funding, but they haven't done their homework. What do I mean? You see a business, maybe so and so limited, and then he's been using his personal account to run his business. And so he comes to bank and he says, I want some loan, right? And the bank will ask you, can I see your bank statement? And you look at the bank statement, you can't relate it. And the guy is saying that, you know what, this business is profitable, I'm able to pay this, I'm able to pay down the loan, I'm able to access this loan. But on the face of it, we cannot say it. However, what the bank has now decided to do is, so if you have an account that is, independent of the corporate account, we can incorporate both to say, okay, is this one and the same person? However, for big corporates, we're not able to do that because it's an entity on its own. But I'm just saying that, you save yourself a lot of stress when you have a good or a balanced bookkeeping. So if you're a business person here, it's me telling you that you should please go ahead and use your corporate account. Have a corporate account where all your inflows are going into and all your outflows are going to for a proper bookkeeping. That will help you get some, fraction from the bank here. Some traction. Another thing I like to talk about is tax certificates. I can't count the number of applications I've had to reject because you don't have tax certificates. If you want me to speak, and it's not because the bank doesn't want to do it, because you don't have tax certificate. It is the requirement. So if you don't have your tax TCC, there's no way I can deal with you, and it has to be updated. And so please, if you are a business person here, so make yourself bankable, even more bankable. Please try and get your TCC. Then another thing I like to mention here, just for the knowledge, is DBR. It's called debit burden ratio. Many times we have organizations or individuals who have maybe loans in different organizations. And a lot of them don't know that banks really do speak to each other. So you have loan with Stanbic, you have loan with GTB, you have loan with... And you just need more money, and you're like, okay, let me reach out to my bank. I've not collected any loan from them. The bank is going to pull your bureau reports, and everything is going to be there. So if the bank is saying, I cannot give you a loan because you can't pay because you already have loan obligations in so and so places, and you're wondering, why can't you give me money? I will pay. But the bank cannot expose you to so much debt beyond what you can take. And there's a ratio for it, right? So those are the issues, and a lot of times we have to explain to customers to say, this is how you go about it, this is how you go about it. And I think I wanted to mention that while I said that we don't have a particular desk, for this kind of project, yes. However, if you go to any of our branches, you will get the support that you require. And then we can also as well structure something for you. I wouldn't say that we have a desk dedicated, but if you speak to anybody in Standard Chartered Bank, business or corporate, and I like the fact that there's an emphasis on the fact that you have different departments. So you have the individual clients, you have the corporate client, the SMEs, and you have the big corporates. So whichever category you are in, maybe you're an individual client and you want to get solar in your house, or you're a business person, you want something in your business, it's open for discussion. We can actually structure something for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Adediwura. Okay, so the time is going, but I would like to just give an overview of what I just got from this last question. Is that number one, as players in the industry, if we want to access banks and access funds from the banks, we must have a good cash flow that the banks can go back to and see that, yes, we can pay back the funds. Though I would say, yes, you have to de-risk But as some of the first panelists have said, some of the equipment we deploy in the industry, even all the equipment we deploy in the industry, they are enough for you to give us free money. Am I not correct? Yeah. So because the products, you can see one beautiful one right there. It's in our industry, there are some products that they actually appreciate instead of depreciating. Start off. So you should be very, very confident to give our industry access to some finance. So, but yes, the bankers have said the cash flow is very, very important. Another thing is that our projections. So we can't just come to the banks and we don't have good projections, or we've not done our financial models very well. We are not confident about what we are saying. They are asking us how we're going to get how they're going to be getting their money back, and we're saying, okay, I don't know yet. So we have to work on our projections and our financial models very well for us to be able to access funds from the banks. And another thing is that we should have good bookkeeping practices. So we should have bookkeeping practices. Some organizations, they don't keep their records. And of course, if you don't have your records kept properly, the banks will not be able to give access to you. And another thing that I heard is that we should be corporately ready. We should be corporately ready. That means we should have all the documentations as a corporate organization. And also, instead of using our individual accounts, we should use our corporate account for our businesses. Yeah. I didn't hear that. Okay, so thank you so much, my panelists. You're not going yet. It's now time for us to have questions from the audience. So please, if you have questions in the audience, please do raise up your hand, and we have someone to go.
Thank you. My name is Marianne Osigwe. I actually work with Zenith Bank, and I'm pleased to be in this colloquium. Gained so much insight into what has been discussed. Mine is more like an addition, maybe something we left out. For credit, basically, we know that we have 5 C's of credit that has to be met before credit is given to an individual. In fact, from the recent sayings, it's 6 now. We talked about the cash flow and the collateral not being so important. But we left out something about character of the individual we're giving the money to. Because you may have the cash flow, you may have the collateral, you may have the capacity to repay, but if you don't have a good character to pay back that loan, you see that the loan does not come back to you. You may make things easy for people to access these loans, but if you don't check on the character of that individual, it's difficult for you to recover your loan, no matter how you try. We know that recently CBN has mandated banks to ensure they loan out 65% of their liabilities. And that made banks to go down to retail, to give out loans to these to retail customers. Zenith Bank has a desk for power. We also have a desk for SME. We also have a desk for retail where we give out these loans. But we don't just dish out these funds. We also try as much as possible to look at the character of the individual we're giving these funds to, which is very important for us. And for a small business, for you to grow your business and enlarge in the nearest future, you need to have a very good character. So that when I give you money and you are able to pay back, I'm comfortable to increase the amount of money I'm giving to you, which will in the long run help your business to grow and also help the bank to grow. So for us, well, we are bankers, but for the entrepreneurs, we just need to imbibe that character of, that just make it a point of duty to honor your obligations as they come due. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Franklin from Ecosa Technologies. My question is directed to Standard Chartered Bank. The question is, what are the conditions for running a company account with your bank? Before borrowing money, I think the the customer needs to have an account with your bank. Is that correct? So what are the conditions attached to running an account with your bank?
I hope you're going to open an account after this. All right, so you want to open an account with us. First of all, we have, there's a list that we'll give to you. First of all, there's an application form which you need to fill, right? Every bank does that. So, of course, those application forms, there are a few things I need to complete, basically about your company and yourself, to know who are the people behind the company, yeah? Then number two, like I said, tax clearance certificate is very, very important. You need to do that. Then we run a search on your company to do a search. Okay, what is this? Who is this? What is that? And all of that. We do that. And then other internal forms that you need to fill, right? I think they're basically internal forms that is major. With your TCC, I think you should be able to open an account, a corporate account with us successfully. I think basically yes. Apart from the search and other backgrounds what is it called? Due diligence that we need to do.
Okay, sometime last year I approached your bank.
Okay.
To run an account with your bank, and I was asked to provide the gross, our gross for a year.
Turnover, you mean?
Turnover for a year,
yes.
something like that. And we provided a figure, but that was 35 million.
Okay.
And your bank, you fill a form where you write this gross and stuff like that. And they said we'll get back to you if you meet the gross or the turnover we want. They never go back to us. So
yeah, so
is it 50 million or 100 million?
Yeah, so every business has its own turnover. Not every bank supports startups. I think someone said that earlier, right? Startup is you're just starting your business, right? Or your SME is you're growing, yeah? And SME has different categories too. I mean, we have the medium, we have the, the smaller and all of that. So turnover is important while opening accounts, right? But I'm not sure what category of accounts you were trying to open, which they were asking whether 35 million would be sufficient or not. So I'm not sure which. But I think we can take that outside this or perhaps later, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Adediura. So do you have any other question? Maybe one or two more questions before we round up for today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this colloquium. It's been amazing being here. I have two questions, actually. The first question is that, is there a limited budget that you are spending per category? Because you mentioned that you have something for the corporate, something for the residential as well. And the second question, is there any sort of application or web browser where all the banks are in together and the, let me say, the applicant would apply over there if one of the banks has fulfilled their quota in a certain category that another bank can take on it? Is there such a thing? Thank you.
So for the first question, in terms of limit, no. But technically, all banks are regulated. So there's what we call sectoral limits. All banks are under obligation to define their sectoral limits. So yes, there are sectoral limits that are internal guidance to bank to say, okay, don't lend more than a percentage of this. And this is just administrative so that you don't have concentration risk in one sector. So you spread your lending across all sectors. So that has nothing to do with the capacity of the banks to lend. Like my sister from Zenith just mentioned, banks are under pressure to ensure that 65% of their total deposits is lent out as loans, not investing in money markets. There's a lazy way of banking that we all tried to do 4 years ago. So we just collect money from depositors and we go and invest in government treasury bills and make cool money. That's not banking because it's not impacting in the economy in any way. So that is why, that's the essence of this policy, that you must lend 65% of your deposit. So we're hungry for transaction in the industry. I can tell you that for free. Every bank is hungry, so there's no problem in terms of capacity to lend to players within the sector. In terms of having a single repository where customers can apply and banks can go and pick transaction, no. That is not available in the industry, but I know that a number of private players, fintechs in particularly, are trying to build different platforms where they can aggregate applications and then get banks to integrate via API, you know, so that they can also create additional. So that's another value. So and I'm throwing it open. If there's something anybody can look at, you can attract investor. So especially for this segment or industry, you want to look at renewable energy. So you want to build an app where every type of customers, whether corporate, commercial, SME, or retail we mean individuals, can go and apply to say, I live in a 3-bedroom flat. I need XYZ whatever measurement index that we use, and then you have about 6 banks that you would have pre-sold the app to via API. There's one that I am working on real estate, where you have a fintech who's gone round to do search on properties, because there are lots of properties online today. They will tell you they are selling. When you click, and you go, you see that it's fraudulent. So there's someone who is carrying out all of that, would have done start from the state government, do all the due diligence, and they are onboarding banks such that customers can apply for the mortgage, to the extent that now we're increasing the value to say you can even draw down 25% of your pension contribution. I hope we all contribute to that pension here, whether we're in formal or informal sector. So that can be replicated for the renewable energy sector. So it's something you guys can look at and see how you can use that to further penetrate the market and also expand scope for players within your sector.
Okay, thank you, Adebimpe. Do anybody want to add to that? Okay, and thanks for that, because right there, Adebimpe has actually given somebody a startup idea. So in case you're looking for startup ideas, she just gave you one out there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being on this panel session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. A round of applause for our esteemed panelists once again. Wow, that was mind-blowing. So it's raining money right here in this hall right now. So the bankers have, you know, they've shared us all the cheat codes, how to get the money flowing. And then I also like the idea that, you know, you got an idea for an app, you know, just to aggregate demand. That's a that's a smart one, interesting. Thank you so much. Okay, we are gradually coming to a close. GENNEX Colloquium 2023. At this point in time, we'd like to take other questions and answers that you might have, because our time is you know, far spent already. So if you've got questions or contributions, I'll be taking like a maximum of 3 question or contribution at all, if anyone. Okay, I have one hand already. I need just 1 or 2 more before we go. Okay, I think, excellent, we have one.
Again, my name is Franklin from Ecosa Technologies. My question is directed to the person from Canadian Solar and GENCO. Thanks to GENNEX Technologies, we got hold of a good panel like Canadian Solar. And over the years, they've been supplying the Nigerian market with high-quality solar panels. When is the right time for them to establish a plant in Nigeria?
Fantastic.
I want to know, isn't it possible for Canadian Solar to take the lead, or GENCO to get up, partner with GENNEX, and build us a good manufacturing plant and stop supplying us from the Canada or South Africa, and let's supply Africa from Nigeria? That's my question. Thank you.
Fantabulous. Canadian Solar, you have been challenged. GENCO, when are you bringing Canada to Nigeria? So you have the floor now. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll be straightforward to that question. Now, that will be difficult. Why? I've been traveling quite a lot around Africa. We receiving the same question, you know, because the stability of the country can play a huge role. And the raw material, if I remember well, the guys that was sitting before said something about, because to produce the solar panels, you need the silicon. You need to get it through and transform it and send it back again. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to transform it locally here. So I think there's a process before deciding to create a manufacturing company here. So that's all I can say for now. Unless Jinko has something else to say.
Thank you. I was expecting the question, actually. We did something like that in South Africa, but due to government policy, we ran into a lot of loss. And then you know that our company name is also at stake and the integrity of our company. So which is one of the reasons why we're still looking at the risk. We have that as planned, but of course, thank you.
Okay. Well, you've heard it from the OEMs. You know, they've told us to take our own future into our hands and build it by ourselves because they're not ready to build it for us right now, you know. So we've got to do something about that. I mean, Oxano has already taken the lead, so I'm expecting that so many much more solar companies would also follow suit. So, all right, thank you very much. I guess we do not have any other question or contribution. Okay. In the absence of any other one, I would like to once again thank the GENNEX team for the opportunity. Thank you for the honor. Thank you for providing a platform like this for us, as stakeholders, to rub minds, share ideas. For me, it has been a very insightful one. I've picked up a lot of points today. I'm sure that the same is your experience. We want to thank you very much. We look forward to another time next year. I'm sure it's going to be bigger and better, and then we'll have more time to interact. After this time, we'll still have an opportunity to network. So if you've have other things you want to still ask further, the OEMs are here. The GENNEX representatives, they're also very much around, and other stakeholders, so we can still, network and get to interact. I'll be yielding the mic now, to Mr. Yemi Adeusi to give us a closing remark, and then we can call it a day. Thank you so much.
Please help us appreciate Mr. Ola Obisemowo, the CEO of Cartel. We felt that we needed someone who is very active in the industry to do this for us, and it's been wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, you agree with me that discussions today has been very, very interesting and exhaustive. So we thank you for coming to this year's edition of the colloquium. One of the things that we're trying to do is to ensure that these discussions do not end within the four corners of this hall. We'll try to ensure adequate dissemination of the proceedings of this colloquium to every quarters, the policy actors, every stakeholders, and you'll be sure that we'll do that. So appreciations, we want to, first of all, appreciate the Almighty God for giving us a wonderful weather to pull this through. Also, we want to thank the management of GENNEX Technologies for once again giving us the opportunity to do this. You know, if you have a dream and you don't have a sponsor of that dream, you might be living in Fantasy Island. So every year, the management of GENNEX Technologies has committed resources to ensuring that we do this every year. And please help us put your hands together for them. Okay? We thank our panelists, at great inconvenience. Most of them, came here. I thank Mr. Shegwandaju. We literally railroaded him to the podium because he just landed in Lagos this morning, and we thank you for making it. I want to thank our international partners, Gerrit and Frederick. You guys are welcome. And like Mr. Ola said, the native attire looks good on both of you. Okay, so we thank you. Then Canadian Solar, Aviv, you're welcome. And then Esther from GENNEX. We want to thank our distributors and partners. Without you, we won't be anywhere here. So we thank you so much for your consistency and your partnership. So to our online partners, this year, even though we have more online partners than last year, we're not able to get no more questions for them. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for coming. Hopefully, we'll see you next year again, God permitting. We'll do this again. It will be bigger and it will be better. So, before we go, I would like you to, from the management of GENNEX, they've asked me to give to a lucky person 500 gigawatts. So, where are your phones? Bring out your phones, please, so that you can save it. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? No, Aviv, Jerry, and Freddie, this doesn't apply to you, So, are we ready? So, it's 01 293. Shall I continue? 44 90. Okay, you can go ahead and save it. That's the multipurpose number for GENNEX customer service. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming.
We are so excited to have the Colloquium, which is running for the second time now. The one we did last year. The success propelled us to have this one again, and it's going to be a continuum over a period of time. Why we have it is to speak to the problem and challenges of the renewable energy in Nigeria especially. We need to catch up with the rest of the world. This is the future, and the only thing we can do is making sure that we deepen the renewable energy. It's more visible, it's doable, and we're able to talk to the whole world that this is a space in which people should come, especially now that a lot of people are going through challenges about fossil fuel, climate change, and that's why we are bringing people together. We've brought rural electrification, we've brought bankers together, we invited the Commissioner for Energy, Lagos State. Important thing, making sure that everybody, through the media, the television, know that the where to go now is renewable energy.
Colloquium is mainly focused on looking at the problems, looking at the development, looking at the new innovations that relates to solar energy and renewable energy as a whole. That is what brings the idea of getting all the stakeholders under one roof to discuss these issues every year, which GENNEX has come up with. And at this year's event, what we are looking at is the acceleration of the adoption of solar energy. What are the constraints? What are the issues? This and other more are what all the stakeholders are gathered together under one roof to discuss about. And as it is ongoing, at least of our panelists are doing justice to just that, looking at all the areas that this sector is being confronted by issues and ways to move the sector forward. We have among the panelists, we have the government agencies, the investors, we have the financial partners, and all these people, we are looking, all of us are putting our voices together in moving the sector forward and looking at the future of solar energy in Nigeria market space.
It tackles the challenges that we have in the renewable energy space. It addresses the financial issues. It looks after requirements and specifications specifically for the industry. So I think it brings all the stakeholders together so that we can discuss the continuous problems that we side of the market, of what we've done and what we've achieved as partners in the market. I think there's a big need for government to get involved, specifically with your import duties. Import duties is killing the sales products in the market, and it's not allowing us to develop a sustainable future going forward. So if we can do something about the import duties on renewable energy products specifically to make it more accessible to everybody in the market, I think we can definitely go a long way. And therefore, the banks and financial institutes will also come on board and make sure that people have the financial backup and the financial requirements in order to install their own solar systems. One of the things that we've been involved with quite a lot is to make sure that our product is SONCAP compliant. Now, obviously, the IEC testing certification and so on is something that we look at as a company, because we have to be sure that our product is qualified and able to be used in the market. We stand by requirements because that's how we build a sustainable market going forward. One of the other things as well is we try and make sure that if there's any discrepancies in the market, or if people think that our batteries, for example, doesn't perform to their exact specifications, we get involved with that. We make sure that the system parameters is 100% correct. We get involved with the design team. We make sure that they use the correct sizing batteries for specific solar systems. And we've been involved in mini grids across Nigeria. We've got more than 18 partners across the entire Africa, and we're extremely strong in the solar space specifically. GENNEX Technologies and Trojan Battery Company is specific partners in the market because GENNEX Technologies take the entire ecosystem of a renewable energy plant. They put it together and they do the installation. And that's one of the reasons why we stand behind them, is because of the way that they do business at the end of the day. They offer a full solution to their customer base. They don't just sell a product and move on.